Chapter 1923. In addition to anger, Sect Master Wang and the others also felt a deep sense of fear. It had to be said that aside from Elder Li, who had only cultivated on the Lotus Throne for a few months, everyone else treated the Lotus Throne as a treasure. They wished they could sit on it all day and never come down. Elder Li and Yangshun had been experimenting outside for more than a year, which meant that they had been secretly affected for more than a year, almost 2 years. Although they knew that it wouldn't affect people with their cultivation levels much, who knew if there would be any serious side effects? Being plotted against like this made the higher-ups very angry. The people of the Zhao family seemed to be becoming more and more unscrupulous. The Zhao family didn't act like this in the past. It seemed that there must be something that made the Zhao family a little anxious. Everyone thought of what Elder Li had said about seeing traces of cultivators in the trial grounds and guessed that the Zhao clan might be hiding in the trial grounds. Only this kind of big matter related to the foundation of the Zhao family would make the Zhao family go crazy, right? Moreover, only the core higher-ups of the Mysterious Heaven sect knew about this. Xuefei was also targeting the higher-ups of the Mysterious Heaven sect. If it wasn't for the fact that there weren't enough demon beast corpses, he might have caught all the core higher-ups of the Mysterious Heaven sect in one fell swoop. Xuefei was still outside, looking for the same demon beast corpses and hadn't returned to the Mysterious Heaven sect, but the disciples sent by Sect Master Wang had already returned. It turned out that no sect, including the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, had encountered this kind of demon beast, and no sect had the corpses of this kind of demon beast. The disciple sent by Sect Master Wang was very responsible and thorough. Not only did he look for all the super sect, but he also looked for some other big and small sect. He didn't even let go of the various markets and asked for the corpses of all the big companies. The result was still the same. There were no demon beast corpses. There is nothing more convincing than this investigation result, not to mention the creepy effects of the Lotus Throne and the Paradise Terrace. The 5 core higher-ups who had been plotted against had already determined that Xuefei was a member of the Zhao family. There were also people secretly watching Xuefei's movements outside, so they weren't afraid that he would escape. Once Xuefei had any intention of escaping, the dozen or so supreme experts following him in the dark would immediately capture him. If nothing happened to him, and he returned safely, then there was no need to care about him. When he returned to the sect's law enforcement hall would deal with him. The elated elder Xue naturally did not expect that everything he had done had already been seen through by Elder Li. What he was worried about now was that even in the entire Zhao family, there were only 6 or 7 corpses of those demonic beasts. It has to be said that illusions made from the corpses of demonic beasts were the best treasures to train one's Dao heart. But now they were being used to plot against a core elder of the Mysterious Heaven sect. However, this was a rare opportunity. If they could really capture all of the core higher-ups of the Mysterious Heaven sect in one fell swoop, it would be a peerless achievement for the Zhao family. It has to be said that by plotting against the higher-ups of the Mysterious Heaven sect, they could control them as puppets. Using the most mysterious control method of the Zhao family, outsiders would not be able to see any clues. They could silently control the number 1 sect of the Dao sects, the Mysterious Heaven sect, and the Celestial Court in the Celestial World. Once they succeeded, it would be like reaching the heavens in a single step for the Zhao family, and they would be in an invincible position. Such a great temptation was worth it. After Xuefei sent a message to the family through a secret channel, the family finally passed this painful decision and sent people to deliver the only 2 corpses of the demonic beasts. After obtaining the corpses, Xuefei immediately set off for the Mysterious Heaven sect. He did not dare to delay along the way. He only wanted to successfully refine the Lotus Seat as soon as possible so that he could have one more core elder fall into his trap. After returning to the sect, Xuefei did not have time to rest and immediately went to see Sect Master Wang. Although he was a core elder, he was ordered by the sect master to find materials. Now that he was back, he naturally had to report to the sect master. This was the rule, and even core elders were no exception. Seeing Sect Master Wang, Elder Xuefei immediately cupped his hands and bowed. "Sect Master, I was fortunate enough to not fail you. He was an elder, so he did not need to bow or kneel, but he still had to show proper etiquette. During this trip, I was fortunate enough to find 2 more suitable demonic beast corpses. I can refine 2 more lotus seats with them. Elder Shui, thank you for your hard work. Sect Master Wang had a happy expression, as if he was happy because of Shui Fei's good news. He extended his hand and invited Elder Shui to sit down. Quickly sit. Did Elder Shui encounter any difficulties this time? Did you discover anything? A trusted disciple of the sect master had already brought over fragrant tea and retreated far away. The sect master and Elder Shui were talking about important matters, so who would dare to stay there and listen? It was very safe along the way, and we did not encounter any enemies. Elder Shui understood that this was just a small talk from the sect master, and it was not an important matter. However, this kind of small talk between the upper echelons was also a way for them to slowly improve their relationship. Naturally, Elder Shui would not reject it. As he drank the fragrant tea, he chatted with the sect master. After all, Sect Master Wang was in the sect, so it was impossible for him to see what was happening outside. Therefore, every time an upper echelon went out, he would report what he had seen and heard. It was also a way for the sect master to know the truth of the outside world. Elder Shui did not suspect that there was anything wrong with this at all. He picked out a few things that he had seen during his trip, and those that seemed strange. In the end, he apologized. The main purpose of this trip was to find materials. I was also afraid of attracting the attention of the other sect, so I did not make a big fuss. I did not pay too much attention to other things. I have failed in my duty. Sect Master Wang did not mind at all. With a smile on his face, he said again, Elder Shui has had a hard journey. I should not have asked so many questions, but there is something that I need Elder Shui's help with. Sect Master, please tell me, how could Shui Fei refuse? He immediately said, as long as I know, I will tell you everything. That's good. Sect Master Wang nodded his head and said slowly, since Elder Shui took out the Bliss Terrace, the sect has sent no less than hundreds of disciples who are proficient in business to other sect and various markets to search for the skeletons of this kind of demonic beast. After 10 years, nothing was found, but Elder Shui went out alone for a few years and brought back 2 skeletons. After saying that, Sect Master Wang stared at Shui Fei with interest. He did not care about the sudden change of expression on Shui Fei's face. His face still had that mysterious smile as he said slowly, Isn't Elder Shui's luck a little too good? Chapter 1924. Shui Fei's face was full of horror when Sect Master Wang said that the other disciples had no gains. He didn't even know when he gave himself away, but it was obvious that he had been exposed. There was no point in saying anything at this time. The most important thing was to escape. Shui Fei stood up and was about to rush out of the main hall. There was only Sect Master Wang in the main hall now. If that was the case, Shui Fei was completely confident that he could escape with his sword kinesis flight. He knew that since Sect Master Wang talked to him with a smile from the beginning, how could there be no arrangements? All his escape routes had probably been cut off, and it was very likely that he would be surrounded by several or even dozens of Xian Immortal experts. It was no longer possible to escape, so the only way to survive was to fight back from the brink of death. Shui Fei was a very resourceful person to be able to become a core elder, so how could he not know the pros and cons? He rushed straight at Sect Master Wang, who was sitting not far away. As long as he could control Sect Master Wang, the other Xiantian sect disciples might have a chance of survival. However, as soon as he stood up, he suddenly saw Sect Master Wang casually cast out a Dharma seal. Then, Shui Fei's body churned, and all his spiritual power seemed to disappear without a trace in an instant. He could no longer summon even the slightest bit. Oh no, there was poison in that cup of tea. Shui Fei immediately realized that he had been plotted against. How could a cunning person like Sect Master Wang leave an opening for him to escape? Not to mention controlling Sect Master Wang. It was already a great opportunity for Shui Fei to stand still. Take him down. Sect Master Wang's expression turned cold and fierce. He shouted, and then dozens of figures suddenly appeared in the main hall. Shui Fei only needed to see the faces of the people in front of him and know that he was doomed. The Big Dipper Formation was formed by 36 Grand Supreme Xian Immortal experts. Not to mention that he had lost all his spiritual power. Even if he was twice as strong as he was at his peak, he still wouldn't be a match for any one of them, let alone a formation formed by 36 experts. I'm dead. This was the only thought left in Xue Fei's mind. As he stood up, Xue Fei had already noticed that his spiritual power was slowly dissipating, but it was not dissipating as fast as his spiritual power. So long as he waited a moment longer, in a few breaths of time, he would become a piece of meat on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. The Black Heaven sect would definitely capture him alive and interrogate him about the Zhao family. There was no need to guess. If Xue Fei was the one making the arrangements, he would have done the same thing if he had the upper hand. As for the fact that Sect Master Wang, with his status and cultivation level, actually used such an unorthodox method like poison, it could only be said that this cultivator was a fool and had never wandered in the mortal spiritual world. The fact that Xue Fei was able to endure in the Black Heaven sect for such a long time meant that he was not a simple character. Since there was no chance of survival, and there was nowhere to run, the only thing Xue Fei could do was to risk his life. During his many years as a spy, Xue Fei had always kept a card up his sleeve. Once he failed, he could not fall into the hands of anyone from the mysterious Heaven sect. A long time ago, Xue Fei had refined a powerful, self-exploding magic weapon. As long as his divine sense was directed at it, it would explode with a thought, blowing up the magic weapon and himself into pieces. While his divine sense had yet to completely dissipate, Xue Fei decisively used his last resort. He was now powerless to launch any attacks, so all he could do was detonate the self-exploding magic weapon he had prepared. Boom! A violent explosion occurred in the main hall. The power of the explosion was so great that even the 36 Grand Supreme Profound Immortals had to rely on formations to protect themselves. The entire main hall turned into powder in an instant, and everything within thousands of feet of the main hall turned into black fragments. This was a trump card that Xue Fei had prepared and refined for many years. It was considered by Xue Fei, a master refiner, as his last resort. Its power was firmly limited to a radius of thousands of feet, and the power of the explosion was enough to destroy the world. The entire mysterious Heaven sect's courtyard shook for a long time due to this violent explosion. The mountain protection formation was instantly blown to pieces. Affected by the explosion of the mountain protection formation, all the houses in the courtyard collapsed, except for the outermost areas that were still standing. With just this, the Sheeping Mountain courtyard that the mysterious Heaven sect had treated as a proper sect for hundreds of years was completely ruined. The mysterious Heaven sect's mountain gate was destroyed for the second time in the spiritual realm. The only fortunate thing was that most of the explosive power was concentrated within a radius of a few thousand feet around the main hall. Only the buildings on the periphery were damaged by the shattering of the mountain guarding formation, but not many disciples were injured. It was a blessing and a misfortune. In order to prevent Xue Fei from escaping, the Grand Supreme Mystic Immortal experts were arranged around the hall. With the Big Dipper formation formed by the 36 Grand Supreme Mystic Immortal experts in the hall, it was able to withstand the most direct attack. Although others were affected, none of them died. However, under this level of attack, injuries were unavoidable. The 36 Grand Supreme Profound Immortals within the Big Dipper formation bore the brunt of the impact. All of them were injured by the explosion. Fortunately, they only suffered minor internal injuries. Each of them lost a few protective magic treasures, so it was not fatal. However, Sect Leader Wang was not so lucky. He was too close to Xue Fei. Even with the protection of the Big Dipper formation, Sect Leader Wang was only a fourth-stage Sky Immortal after hundreds of years. He could not compare to those Grand Supreme experts. The huge power of the explosion shattered the Big Dipper formation, but it still caused Sect Leader Wang to vomit blood. Quick, save Sect Leader. Elder Li, Hall Master Lu, and the others had been waiting for news a few miles away. When they saw this scene, everyone's eyes widened and they rushed over in a frenzy. Xue Fei was already smashed to pieces, but the 36 Grand Supreme experts were all injured. Sect leader Wang vomited blood and was unconscious. Elder Li was the first to rush to Sect leader Wang's side. Just as he helped Sect leader Wang up, before he could take the next step, Hall Chief Zhu had already directly pinched 2 pills and placed them by Sect leader Wang's mouth. "Quick! This is a life-saving medicinal pill that I refined. Quickly consume it." Hall Master Zhu's panicked voice came from his side. He looked at Sect leader Wang with concern. Elder Li was stunned. Then his heart moved. He did not say anything and let Hall Master Zhu reach out and open Sect leader Wang's mouth. Under the watchful eyes of Elder Li, Hall Master Lu, and several other elders, Hall Master Zhu fed the pill he had personally refined into Sect leader Wang's mouth, and then sent a mouthful of spirit liquid down his stomach. Only then did he let out a long sigh. If the pills take effect, perhaps Sect leader Wang can benefit from the disaster. Let's wait for a few hours to see the results. Hall Master Zhu seemed to have absolute confidence in the pills he refined. At this moment, he said confidently, Chapter 1925. There were several reasons why Elder Li didn't immediately take out the life-saving pill given by Yang Chun. First, this was the mysterious Heaven sect. Without evidence, it was really inappropriate to question another core elder's pill for no reason. Second, using Yang Chen's pill would give people the feeling that they didn't trust the sect's core elder, but an outsider. Third, it was very likely to expose the true relationship between Yang Chun and the mysterious Heaven sect. Right now, only a few people knew about it. Even the newly promoted elders didn't know about it. Even Xue Fei had a problem, so this secret couldn't be easily leaked, lest it ruin the sect's plans. Then there was Elder Li's selfishness. Hall Master Zhu's timing was really good, saying that it would be a blessing in disguise. He clearly wanted to take the opportunity to let Sect Master Wang ascend. In any case, with his words, no one would doubt that Sect Master Wang's cultivation had really improved and triggered the heavenly tribulation to ascend. Elder Li even suspected that Hall Master Zhu's move was the last resort for Xue Fei's failed plan. The Zhao family was really cunning. They had endless tricks up their sleeves. They didn't even give the mysterious Heaven sect a chance to breathe. It's not safe here. Go back to Sect Master Wang's room in the secret palace. Elder Li waited for Hall Master Zhu to finish speaking and immediately said, Hall Master Lu, the 2 of us will take care of the disciples outside. You guys take good care of the sect master. Even Xunyang Palace now had a core cave, let alone the mysterious Heaven sect. Now that this place was in ruins, there were dozens of slightly injured Grand Supreme Masters around, and there were tens of thousands of disciples outside who didn't know what had happened. They really needed the higher-ups to come out and calm them down. Everyone agreed in unison, not fearing that there would be any problems. What happened just now was too sudden, and everyone seemed to have suddenly lost their backbone. In addition, in recent years, Elder Li's relationship with everyone had become increasingly close. At this moment, Elder Li was still able to be so calm, and no one refuted his orders, nor did they know how to refute him. Soon, everyone, including Hall Master Zhu, carefully brought Sect Master Wang back to the secret palace, while Elder Li and Hall Master Lu began to deal with the matters in the sect. Under the supervision of the Law Enforcement Hall's Hall Master and the core elder of imparting techniques, the profound Heaven sect's disciples quickly calmed down. Inside the mountain gate, other than the damage to the buildings, there were no casualties among the disciples. This was a blessing in disguise. The Zhao clan spies schemed to destroy our sect. This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. Sect leader Wang was seriously injured, so Elder Li shouted in place of the sect leader. The news of the profound Heaven Gate's destruction could not be hidden. It would soon spread throughout the entire spiritual realm. The reason why Elder Li had admitted to the Zhao family's spy so readily was to incite the other sect's hatred of the enemy. If even the Black Heaven sect dared to do such a thing, there was no need to mention the other sects. With the appearance of Elder Li, the chaotic situation quickly stabilized. When the disciples saw Elder Li and Hall Leader Lu appear, they immediately calmed down. They followed Elder Li's instructions and started to tidy up the situation in the mountain gate. They were all cultivators who had experienced great things. The destruction of a mere building was not enough to cause the profound heaven sect to collapse. Several hours passed in the blink of an eye to deal with this chaotic situation. Elder Lee saw that it was about time, so he called out to Hall Leader Lu. The two of them quickly entered the secret palace and went straight to Sect Leader Wang's room. Unlike the outside, which had become orderly, there was a tense situation in Sect Leader Wang's room at this moment. Sect Leader Wang's face was covered with soybean-sized beads of sweat. It was obvious that he was enduring unbearable pain. Hall Leader Zhu, who was previously full of confidence, now had a look of disbelief on his face. He stared blankly at Sect Leader Wang, panicking. Of the four elders next to him, two had already quietly distributed themselves on either side of Hall Leader Zhu. The other two could only look at Sect Leader Wang nervously, helpless. The 36 Heaven Dipper Formation experts were surrounding the periphery. They were only slightly injured and did not hinder their work. Everyone was good at it, but they were at their wits' end when it came to treating injuries. What happened? Elder Lee and Hall Leader Lu noticed the abnormality as soon as they entered the door. Hall Leader Lu's face immediately darkened as he asked in a deep voice, "Why hasn't the sect leader woken up yet?" Hall Leader Zhu, didn't you say that your elixir can save lives and that it can be a blessing in disguise? Hall Leader Lu had been the law enforcement hall master for many years and had accumulated a lot of prestige. Once he put down his face, even the other core elders would feel afraid. Hall Leader Zhu was just a newly promoted core elder and had yet to fully cultivate the bearing of a core elder. When he was questioned by Hall Leader Lu, his face turned even uglier. "Oh!" Before Hall Leader Zhu could answer, Sect Leader Wang had already groaned and woke up. Hearing Sect Leader Wang's voice, everyone was overjoyed. As long as the person woke up, it meant that he could still be saved. The problem was not very big. "The elixir is poisonous. Take down Hall Leader Zhu." Sect Leader Wang opened his eyes and directly ordered without saying anything. Everyone was stunned for a moment before they immediately reacted. With just a thought from Hall Leader Lu, the 36 Xian Immortal experts swarmed up and directly controlled Hall Leader Zhu. Hall Leader Zhu was not Xue Fei. The matter happened in a hurry, and he did not have the decisiveness to sacrifice himself for justice. After being stunned for a moment, he was already under control and could no longer resist. In fact, Sect Leader Wang had already woken up, and he was aware of the situation outside. It was just that he suddenly found that the spiritual power in his body was no longer listening to his command and was rampaging in his body. And corresponding to it was the incomparable spirit of his divine sense. His mind was clear, and many things that he could not figure out before were like transparent glass at this moment, incomparably clear. The reason why he fell into this situation was related to Hall Leader Zhu's 2 elixirs. It was also because of this that his powerful divine sense could barely control the violent spiritual power in his body, and there would not be a problem. But in this situation, Sect Leader Wang did not dare to make any movements and could only continue to pretend to be unconscious. Elder Lee and Hall Leader Lu, his 2 most trusted confidants, were not here. Although there were 2 core elders standing on his side, there were still 2 other elders who he did not know what they would do. Of course, what was even more terrifying was Hall Leader Zhu, who had ulterior motives. He actually took advantage of his serious injury to use poison to harm him. Once he found out that his plan had failed, he might immediately turn hostile and make a move. Now that Elder Lee and Hall Leader Lu had rushed back, and Elder Lee rushed in front of him as soon as he came in, isolating him from the others. Sect Leader Wang's safety was guaranteed, so he woke up in a timely manner to give orders. Hall Leader Zhu did not expect that he would seize this fleeting opportunity to let Sect Leader Wang take the 2 elixirs. He thought that everything would go according to his plan. Sect Leader Wang would not only recover from his injury, but his cultivation would also ascend. He never thought that things would turn out like this. Chapter 1926. Before he could react, the masters around him had completely taken control of him. With Xue Fei as a lesson, several masters directly knocked him unconscious to prevent him from having a chance to unleash a final blow. They were all masters, so they couldn't fall for the same thing twice. Elderly breathed a sigh of relief when Hall Master Zhu was under control. He quickly looked at Sect Master Wang and asked eagerly, "Sect Master, how is your body?" "There's a problem with the pill. The backlash from his spiritual power is getting stronger and stronger." Sect Master Wang knew that his physical condition was critical, so he made a long story short and quickly explained his situation. As he spoke, Sect Master Wang's mouth was still bleeding. After forcibly suppressing the spiritual power in his body for a few hours, not only did his injury not get better, but it got worse. After forcing himself to say these few words, Sect Master Wang couldn't help it anymore and spat out a large mouthful of blood, dyeing Elder Li's chest red. Unfortunately, the strongest pill refiners in the mysterious Heaven sect had all been sent out by Hall Master Zhu. Now, everyone was embarrassed to find that apart from Hall Master Zhu, there was no pill refiner in the secret palace who could save Sect Master Wang. There was no need to ask. This must be Hall Master Zhu's scheme. However, at this critical moment, it was not the time to immediately pursue that guy. Sect Master Wang's injury was more important, and everyone didn't know what to do. Elder Li, on the other hand, appeared to be somewhat resolute at this moment. He clenched his teeth and took out a few jade bottles from his chinkoan pouch. With a pained expression, he opened them one by one and poured out a few medicinal pills that everyone was extremely familiar with. "This is a life-saving pill that I got from Yang Chun." Elder Li didn't hide it and directly revealed the source of the pill. In fact, even if he didn't say it, everyone could see that the pill had such an obvious dragon-shaped pill pattern on it. In the spiritual realm, only one person's pill had such a pattern, and that was Yang Chun. There was a hint of relief in Sect Master Wang's eyes. He understood the relationship between Yang Chun and Elder Li very well. Even if Yang Chun gave gifts to everyone, what he gave Elder Li was definitely not the same. To be able to make Elder Li reveal a pained expression, it was definitely a top-quality item that could only be chanced upon. "Sect Leader, take this first to stabilize your injuries." Elder Li placed one of the pills beside Sect Leader Wang's mouth. Sect Leader Wang opened his mouth without hesitation and swallowed it in one gulp. At this moment, Master Yang's pill had become a life-saving straw in everyone's eyes. Everyone's eyes were focused on Sect Leader Wang, looking forward to seeing Sect Leader Wang get better. The powerful merit pill played a stabilizing role at this moment. Sect Leader Wang had just taken the pill and felt his whole body relax. Although the spiritual power in his body was still rampaging, the rampaging spiritual power instantly brought the medicinal power of the elixir to his whole body. In just the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Sect Master Wang's face was no longer as painful as before, and there was a lot more rosy. His ragged breathing slowly calmed down, and no more blood flowed out of his mouth after he swallowed the pill. There is no other word to describe the instant effect of the powerful medicinal effect in everyone's hearts. Everyone couldn't help but have a lot of thoughts about the pill that Elder Li had just let Sect Leader Wang take. Everyone has that pill. It is Master Yang's 6th Revolution Lingji Mushroom Jade Pill, but it has an excellent life-saving effect. Elder Li was opening his eyes for his grand disciple at this moment, and even paving the way for him to do him a favor. My heart aches because of this one. In Elder Li's hand, another medicinal pill with clear dragon markings appeared. This pill looked familiar. It seemed to be a marrow accumulation pill, but it was a size bigger than the marrow accumulation pill. It was also a 6th Revolution pill. There's a good thing that you're still hiding. Why don't you take it out quickly? The one who spoke was Sect Leader Wang. In just a short while, his injuries had stabilized and stopped worsening. Even his speech was much smoother. "No, Sect Leader, you have to eat a Lingji Mushroom Jade Pill first." Elder Li shook his head, but took out a Lingji Mushroom Jade Pill and gave it to Sect Leader Wang. "This is a specially refined marrow accumulation pill. You need to completely stabilize your injuries before you can take it. A 6th Revolution Lingji Mushroom Jade Pill could at most stabilize his injuries and stop them from worsening in this situation. But the spiritual power in Sect Leader Wang's body was in a mess. It was beyond his power to heal with a pill." There was a smile on Sect Leader Wang's face. and he put the pill into his mouth. This time, after the effect of the pill took effect, sect leader Wang's condition was much better, and his injuries had also recovered. However, it still did not reach the level that elderly needed. In desperation, he ate another 6th revolution Lingji mushroom jade pill, which completely stabilized his injuries and improved. 3 6th revolution virtue Lingji mushroom jade pill. Even if his life was hanging by a thread, it could pull him back from the line of life and death. The reason why he couldn't recover was because of the spiritual power in sect leader Wang's body. Even so, everyone present had seen the power of Master Yang's pills with their own eyes, and they cherished the pills that Yang Chun gave them more and more. What was a life-saving medicinal pill? This was a life-saving medicinal pill. Those so-called special life-saving medicinal pills that they had seen before were not worth mentioning. Although it was only a 6th revolution pill, the effect was stronger than many 7th revolution pills. The reason why Master Yang was called a master when he was just a 6th rank pill refinement master was not without reason. Sect leader, what's the situation in your body now? Seeing that sect leader Wang's eyes were already on the super marrow accumulating pill in Elder Li's hand, Elder Li also asked with a wry smile. After asking, he explained, "It's not that this old man is reluctant to give up this medicinal pill, but the medicinal pill has to be the right one. Your spiritual sense is clear, but your spiritual power is not listening to you, and it is still getting stronger." Sect leader Wang knew his own situation and quickly gave the answer. After that, he looked at Elder Li expectantly, waiting for his judgment. "This old man can't say for sure." Elder Li shook his head and said with a difficult expression, "This medicinal pill is more effective than the marrow accumulating pill. It may be able to help sect leader to straighten out and control his spiritual power, but the spiritual power in sect leader's body is now chaotic. Maybe you still need external help. Can sect leader hold on?" This old man will go to Yang Chun immediately and let him diagnose in person. From Sheeping Mountain here to Chunyang Palace, the journey added up to more than 200,000 miles. Even if they rushed at full speed, it would take more than half a month. For such a long time, sect leader Wang knew that he would definitely not be able to hold on. What external help? Since it was related to sect leader Wang, no one else dared to speak easily. The only one who could ask was sect leader Wang himself. This Elder Li sighed and took out 2 medicinal pills that were also made by Yang Chun, the 6th Revolution Millennium Pill and the Prolonging Life Pill, relying on the powerful spiritual power to suppress the chaotic spiritual power in sect leader's body and assimilate it. Chapter 1927. Originally, this is this old man's life-saving method. Elder Li did not wait for the others to ask and immediately began to explain. Let's say that the body is seriously injured and the enemy's spirit energy cannot be dispersed in the body. Right now, sect master's situation seems to be similar. It may be useful. After saying this, Elder Li still shook his head with some uncertainty. If it's feasible, it's best for sect master to let Yang Chun personally diagnose you. At most, you can eat a Lingji mushroom jade pill every once in a while. It should be able to last for half a month, right? Elder Li's explanation was not false. Everyone understood that this was a special life-saving method that Yang Chun prepared for Elder Li, even considering the worst-case scenario. Those who knew the relationship between Yang Chun and Elder Li understood that this was a special gift from Yang Chun to Elder Li. Their relationship was different. Naturally, there would be some special care. Those who did not know thought that Elder Li personally met Yang Chun last time to obtain some small benefits for himself. It was not a big deal. But everyone understood that Yang Chun's combination of several medicinal pills for the current situation seemed to have a little bit of a feeling of the right medicine. The key now was to see whether sect Master Wang could last until the moment he met Yang Chun. A few 6th Revolution Lingji mushroom jade pills had already made everyone no longer doubted Yang Chun's medical and pill refining skills. No one doubted that sect Master Wang could recover after seeing Yang Chun. The problem was whether sect Master Wang's physical condition could last until then. I'm afraid not. Sect Master Wang shook his head. The pill surnamed Zhu must have something similar to the 1,000-year pill. but it is not as pure as Yang Chen's. Now that the spirit energy is becoming more and more chaotic, it will soon go out of control again. Right now, Sect Master Wang was relying on his powerful divine sense to suppress the chaotic spirit energy. Once the spirit energy continued to increase beyond the limit of divine sense control, the consequences would be unimaginable. If we use the 1,000-year pill again, will it make the spirit energy even more chaotic? Hall Master Lu was also Sect Master Wang's confidant. He naturally did not want anything to happen to Sect Master Wang, so he asked from the side. Everyone was also concerned about this question. They all looked at Elder Li. These elixirs are specially refined, Yi Zichen explained. Elder Li's face turned red, as if he was ashamed of abusing his power for personal gain. This special marrow accumulating pill will control the spirit energy contained in the 1,000-year pill and the prolonging life pill according to the most basic cultivation method. As it circulates, it will nourish the meridians and assimilate the other spirit energy in the body. It was refined by Master Yang using a special method, so it is very precious. With Elder Li's explanation, everyone immediately understood the logic behind it. This was a set of pills. The marrow accumulation pill was responsible for controlling the spirit energy, while the 1,000-year pill and life extension pill were responsible for providing spirit energy. Furthermore, the spirit energy was of a special attribute that could only be controlled by the marrow accumulation pill. This way, the cultivator could ignore the flow of spirit energy in their body. As long as he used the cultivating spirit heart technique to completely refine the different spiritual powers in his body, he would naturally be able to easily control them. Moreover, the refined spiritual power would also become a part of the master's spiritual power. Although it was said to be healing, it was actually using the spiritual energy that the other party had injured him to cultivate. If it wasn't for the fact that it was easier to control the spiritual energy that was cultivated by oneself, this method could be called the best way to quickly increase one's cultivation level. Even the cultivator himself didn't need to pay anything. Even the flow of the spiritual energy was controlled by the marrow accumulating pill. This was a must-have for lazy people. No wonder Elder Li's heart ached. This combination was simply a cheating method to heal, save one's life, and increase one's cultivation at a critical moment. If it was anyone else present, they would also feel the same pain. Forget it. Sect Master Wang was ambitious and decisive. He directly made a decision. This time, I will take advantage of Elder Li. If there is a chance in the future, Elder Li asked Yang Chun for another pill. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and took the 3 pills from Elder Li's hand. Without looking at them, he swallowed them in one gulp. Everyone understood what Sect Master Wang was thinking. It wasn't that Sect Master Wang was afraid of death, but everyone knew that if Sect Master Wang died under Shui Fei's attack, it would definitely be a fatal blow to all the cultivators in the spiritual realm. If even the Black Heaven sect's sect master couldn't stop the Zhao family's attack under the sect's heavy protection, then where else in the spiritual realm would be safe? Who else could compete with the Zhao family? Even if it was just because he didn't want to increase the Zhao family's achievements, Sect Master Wang was determined not to let himself die under the Zhao family's plot. Even if Sect Master Wang had the divine perching jade to preserve his life origin soul, even if he died, it would only take him 1,000 years to recover. However, even if Sect Master Wang was willing, the other elders probably wouldn't allow him to do so. At the level of the Black Heaven sect, sometimes it wasn't life that mattered but face. What's more, this was related to the fight against the Zhao family, so he couldn't be careless. Moreover, even ants lived without purpose, let alone the glorious Black Heaven sect's sect master. Since they couldn't wait for Yang Shan to come in person, plus Elder Li's combination of medicinal pills was convincing no matter from the perspective of the alchemist, then they could only treat a dead horse as a living one. The worst result was using the divine perching jade, which wasn't much worse than now. Sect Master Wang only took the pill for a while before he noticed the change in the spiritual power in his body. After closing his eyes and feeling it carefully for a while, Sect Master Wang finally opened his eyes with a happy expression. It's working. It has already started to absorb my chaotic spiritual power. That one sentence made everyone feel completely at ease. At the same time, they all looked at Elder Li with different gazes. Those who knew about the relationship between Elder Li and Yangchun were all wondering how to get Yangchun to prepare such a combination of pills for them. Those who didn't know were also thinking about how to move Yangchun to refine pills for him. In short, no one would complain about having too many pills that could save their lives or even counterattack at a critical moment. In any case, this matter couldn't be avoided by Elder Li. Everyone was thinking about how to get Elder Li to do this favor. With the marrow accumulation pill to help mobilize the spiritual power, Sect Master Wang didn't even have to work hard himself. The chaotic spiritual power had already begun to decrease, and it was only a matter of time before it was completely resolved. Sect Master Wang could also do something else. Sect Leader, you'd better take this pill as well. Elder Li seemed to struggle for a moment and took out 2 more pills. Sect Master's spiritual power cultivation base will definitely improve greatly. If the state of mind of the divine sense falls behind, it will not be good. This questioning inner heart pill can also make up for the gap in this state of mind. The spirit congealing pill can slightly supplement the divine sense. The questioning inner heart pill was a high-grade pill that tempered the state of mind and enhanced the divine sense. The spirit congealing pill could indeed increase some divine sense. At this moment, everyone had nothing to say except that Elder Li was really loyal to Sect Master Wang. Even this kind of problem was considered. What else could they say? Chapter 1928. It was not that Elder Li was showing his loyalty to Sect Master Wang at this moment, but Elder Li did not want Sect Master Wang to have time to arrange other things from now on before the Tribulation Ascension. Using the questioning inner heart pill and spirit congealing pill as an excuse on the one hand, it showed the loyalty of Elder Li. On the other hand, it made Sect Master Wang have no time to care about other things and ascend with peace of mind. This old man never thought that one day this old man would actually rely on swallowing medicinal pills to increase his cultivation. Sect Leader Wang also had a lot of emotions and shook his head repeatedly. Man proposes, but God disposes. This matter was plotted by the Zhao family. It is not the fault of the Sect Master. Elder Li immediately said, Fortunately, the Sect Master has a flood of good fortune. If you survive a disaster, you will have good fortune in the future. Without batting an eyelid, Elder Li had already labeled Home Master Zhu as a thief from the Zhao family. Regardless of whether Home Master Zhu was a member of the Zhao family, at this moment, when Elder Li said this, no one would refute it. The murder of the Sect Master was caught on the spot. What else could be said? Looking at the arrangement of the Zhao family, one after another, Shui Fei failed here, and the one surnamed Zhu immediately jumped out. It was really impossible to guard against. Who would suspect that the medicinal pills given by the core high-level medicinal hall master of their own sect would have a problem? If the safety of Sect Master Wang was not the most important thing now, everyone couldn't help but check themselves. Who among the people present had not eaten the medicinal pills refined by Hall Master Zhu? If he was deliberately plotting, everyone would definitely have been plotted against early. Wouldn't that be bad? To say that the Zhao family was really insidious. They actually quietly inserted 2 disciples into the core high level. If it weren't for Yang Chun, who found the traces of the Zhao family in the mortal world, maybe everyone would have been kept in the dark, and the Zhao family would have silently controlled all the sect. This was by no means an alarmist. Even the profound heaven sect was like this, not to mention other sects. Not to mention far away, the core elder and another elder of the Green Jade Immortal Island in the mortal world were from the Zhao family. The Zhao Haoshuan, father and son of the 5-element sect, almost succeeded in seizing power and became the sect master of the 5-element sect. 3 of the 5 major Dao sects had already met with mishaps. It was impossible to count on the remaining Blue Cloud sect and Heaven and Earth sect to be safe and sound. Since such a strict organization like the Dao sect could not be spared, it was even more so for the Demon sect, the Demon clan, and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, which were relatively scattered sect. He was afraid that after this incident, all the major sect members would feel insecure. The one surnamed Zhu, you must watch over him. Don't let what happened to Shui Fei happen again. Sect Master Wang exhorted, but at this moment, he couldn't care about anything else. After taking the questioning inner heart pill and the spirit congealing pill, he assumed the cultivation posture of Wu Xian Xiang Tian and fell into meditation. Shui Fei's mistake had happened a few hours ago, and Zhu Tao was determined not to repeat the same mistake. Hall Master Lu personally searched for all the magic treasures on the unconscious Zhu Tao. He didn't even leave his natal magic treasure behind. He used more than 10 Grand Supreme Mystic Immortal experts to force them out of Zhu Tao's body. To be on the safe side, Hall Master Lu directly crippled Zhu Tao's cultivation, and even his divine sense cultivation. In short, he didn't give the surnamed Zhu any chance to take advantage of him, and he didn't give the Zhao clan any chance to increase their military achievements. Even though Zhu Tao had become a cripple, Hall Master Lu still let 3 Grand Supreme Mystic Immortal experts take turns to watch him. This guy definitely knew the Zhao clan's secret. Such an important person must be kept alive, and he must not be silenced. Oh yes, Hall Master Lu, Shui Fei, and Zhu Tao's confidant. After dealing with Zhu Tao, Elder Li suddenly thought of something and said to Hall Master Lu. Everyone was shocked, and then they came to a realization. If Shui Fei and Zhu Tao had a problem, then their confidant must have a problem too. Just now, the sect master was in a mess, and these guys almost got away with it. Hall Master Lu and the other 2 newly added core elders went out together and began to arrange for the law enforcement hall to capture those small fries. With 3 core elders going out, no one would be able to escape easily. The reason why the other 2 newly added core elders were so proactive was because 2 of the 4 newly added core elders already had problems. If they didn't perform actively, they might also be suspected by the higher-ups. Because of this, the 2 core elders were even more aggressive than the law enforcement hall. Whether it was Shui Fei and Zhu Tao's confidant or direct descendant, they didn't let go of any of the disciples involved. They captured all of them and sent them to the law enforcement hall for investigation. In an instant, the mysterious Heaven Sect's disciples, who had just stabilized, were in chaos again. The law enforcement hall moved out and captured tens of thousands of people in the sect alone. Almost all the mysterious Heaven Sect disciples were in danger, afraid that they would be involved in this attack on the mysterious Heaven Sect. Sect Master Wang's healing this time was not as immediate as it had been in the beginning. The cultivating essence cultivation method was the most basic cultivation method and also the most stable cultivation method. There was no risk of chi deviation, but at the same time, it also led to the cultivating essence cultivation method being a relatively inefficient cultivation method. Adjusting the chaotic spirit power was not something that could be done overnight. This long period of time was just enough for Sect Master Wang to retreat and completely refine the questioning inner heart pills and spirit congealing pills to improve his state of mind and divine sense cultivation. The mysterious Heaven Sect warned the outside world about the brutality of the Zhao family while rebuilding the Sheeping Mountain courtyard. At the same time, they also comforted the disciples in the sect and didn't forget to track down Shui Fei and Zhu Tao. In short, after this incident, the mysterious Heaven Sect would stop developing for at least 20 years. However, for the higher-ups of the mysterious Heaven Sect, if a mere 20 years could make the mysterious Heaven Sect more pure, they would be willing to do so. In addition to paying attention to Sect Master Wang's healing, the rest was to perform their respective duties and strive to maintain the normal operation of the mysterious Heaven Sect. Of course, everyone was most concerned about Zhu Tao's confession. Hall Master Lu personally took action and used all kinds of cruel methods on Zhu Tao, who was still alive. Even if Zhu Tao was a man made of iron, once he entered the law enforcement hall, no matter how long he persisted, he would inevitably become a pile of mud in the end. The people's hearts were like iron, and the law was like a furnace. Hall Master Lu had never seen a tough man who could persist until the end. When Zhu Tao was almost on the verge of collapse, the strongest hypnotist of the mysterious Heaven Sect made his move. For a supreme, profound, immortal expert to deal with a cripple who had lost all his cultivation and was on the verge of a mental breakdown, it was simply a piece of cake. Zhu Tao really admitted that he was a disciple of the Zhao family. He had been enduring since the mortal world and slowly expanded his power. Finally, he had entered the core of the sect. If it wasn't for elderly saying that he happened to find the location of the Zhao family, Zhu Tao would never have easily exposed himself or used such methods. It was precisely because he was afraid that the secret of the Zhao family would be leaked that he was forced to take action in advance. As for Xue Fei, he didn't know that Xue Fei was also a member of the Zhao family. It was just a coincidence that he had the opportunity to deal with Sect Master Wang. Chapter 1929. The location of the Zhao family was indeed in the trial ground. Everyone had a tacit understanding of this, but it had not been confirmed. Zhu Tao's proof was the most direct evidence, confirming the news brought back by elderly. Just this point alone made elderly the greatest achievement in dealing with the Zhao family. Most importantly, Zhu Tao told him how to contact the Zhao family's secret envoy. Although he had not personally been to the Zhao clan in the trial grounds, the secret envoy of the Zhao clan who brought him the corpse of the demonic beast must have been there. The corpse was brought out from the Zhao clan. As long as he could contact the secret envoy again, he believed that he would be able to obtain further clues. This was the most effective achievement of the mysterious heaven sect in dealing with the Zhao family since the outbreak of the demonic calamity. Determining the location of the Zhao family could be said to be a milestone achievement. Xue Fei was discovered by elderly. Although Zhu Tao was not discovered by elderly, sect leader Wang was saved by elderly. There was no doubt about this. It could be said that in the battle against the Zhao clan, elderly had already walked far ahead of everyone else. It was impossible for them to not be convinced. Even so, elderly was as loyal as ever to Sect Master Wang. Every day, he would go to Sect Master Wang's residence to check on him, for fear that something would go wrong. After Sect Master Wang went into seclusion, elderly went to Chunyang Palace and personally brought Yangchun to the mysterious heaven sect to treat Sect Master Wang. Unfortunately, Sect Master Wang was in seclusion, so Yangchun couldn't communicate with Sect Master Wang. However, after Yangchun saw Sect Master Wang's condition, he gave a very certain conclusion. The previous combination of medicinal pills was feasible. After a period of time, Sect Master Wang would be fine. As Zhu Tao said at the time, it was a blessing in disguise, and one's cultivation would improve greatly. This time, Yangchen's visit to the mysterious heaven sect was above board. Elderly gave Chunyang Palace a lot of benefits in the name of seeking medical treatment. All the sect knew that the mysterious heaven sect had just been attacked by the Zhao family spy. It was inevitable that someone would be seriously injured, so no one suspected that there was any problem. However, the attack on the mysterious heaven sect still caused an uproar in the spiritual realm. The Zhao family was already unscrupulous to this point. Just as elderly expected, if the Zhao family could attack the mysterious heaven sect today, they could attack any other sect tomorrow. For a time, all the spiritual realm sect were cautious for fear of being attacked by the Zhao family at this special time. For a while, all the spiritual realm cultivators were very cautious, fearing that they would be attacked by the Zhao family. Other than the dozens of Grand Supreme Mystic Immortal experts and a few core elders in the core area, no one else knew what had happened to the Mystic Heaven Sect side courtyard. The mysterious Heaven Sect didn't announce it to the public, so no one knew that something had happened to Xue Fei and Zhu Tao. No one knew that Sect Master Wang was almost in danger. Family long, Chun left he that family, Yang family, and Sect Master Long said that sect. Others only knew that Yangchun had seen the injured person and left a medicinal pill to treat the injury. They didn't doubt the inside story, and no one would ask Yangchun about it. Everyone understood that the mysterious Heaven Sect Mountain Gate was destroyed, someone was seriously injured, and even the important elders were seriously injured. The mysterious Heaven Sect didn't disclose the specific inside story because they didn't want people to know. Unless someone lived a long life, they would ask Yangchun about it. When the Palace Master and Elder Wuxiong heard that the mysterious Heaven Sect Mountain Gate was destroyed, they were almost shocked, thinking that it was Yang Chen's plan. It wasn't until Elderly came to Yang Chen for medical treatment that everyone knew that it was not the case, and they were relieved. If Yang Chen directed such a big disaster because of Lan Ying's anger, it would not be a relief, but a disaster for the Chunyang Palace. Even the most unscrupulous Lan Ying did not dare to imagine that this was done by Yang Chen. Elder Li's visit to seek medical treatment made Lan Ying see hope. If Yang Chen took the opportunity to propose to deal with an unruly disciple of the mysterious heaven sect, it might be successful. In this regard, Lan Ying was full of confidence and firmly believed that one day she would be able to see the guy who dared to hurt her friend Neil in front of her and let her deal with him. The major sect sent representatives to the mysterious heaven sect to express their condolences. All of them were received by Elder Li and another elder. Hall Master Lu was so busy that he didn't appear at all. It was really busy for more than half a year. Sect Master Wang's retreat to heal finally came out. In fact, during this time, several core elders have been paying attention to Sect Master Wang's injury. They saw that Sect Master Wang's physical performance was getting better and better, and even the aura he released was much stronger than before. Everyone saw it in their eyes and felt happy in their hearts. As long as Sect Master Wang was fine, then this time the Zhao family's conspiracy was completely destroyed. In addition to the loss of Xue Fei and Zhu Tao, two long-hidden spies, they also lost 5 magic weapons made from rare monster bones, plus the bodies of 2 monster beasts. It could be said that the loss was heavy. Of course, the Zhao family's biggest loss was the arrangement in the mysterious heaven sect. Xue Fei and Zhu Tao's trusted subordinates were all caught in one net, and thousands of people were executed according to the sect's rules. Only 2,000 or 3,000 people could escape with their lives, and the rest were all dealt with as traitors. This time, the mysterious heaven sect dealt with traitors in a big way, directly surpassing the 5 Elements sect. Sect Master Wang finally came out of his room, and as soon as he came out, everyone who had been waiting for a long time was shocked. In just over half a year, Sect Master Wang actually rushed directly from the 4th grade of the Heaven Immortal Realm to the peak of the Heaven Immortal Realm. It even seemed that Sect Master Wang was still suppressing it, and his true cultivation base may have already entered the profound Immortal Realm. This time, it can be considered a blessing in disguise. Sect Master Wang didn't say much about his situation and simply laughed at himself. Then, he began to arrange the affairs of the sect without stopping. Brotherly, this old man is about to ascend. In the future, the mysterious heaven sect will depend on you. As soon as Sect Master Wang spoke, everyone's heart almost stopped beating. What did he mean? Sect Master Wang was about to ascend? Because his cultivation base soared so suddenly, Sect Master Wang didn't even have time to prepare. If he had prepared a few years in advance, perhaps Sect Master Wang could stay in the spiritual realm with the profound immortal realm without triggering the heavenly tribulation. However, things happened too suddenly, and before any arrangements could be made, Sect Master Wang's cultivation base had already broken through the peak of the Heaven Immortal Realm and entered the profound immortal realm. He had no choice but to accept the fact that he was about to ascend. He only asked Elderly to take care of the mysterious heaven sect, and the tribulation clouds appeared in the sky. Sect leader Wang took a deep breath and didn't say anything more. He bowed deeply to the surrounding core elders and said, "Thank you for your hard work." After that, he strode out of the room and went straight to the tribulation cloud. Not long after, countless heavenly tribulations began to descend. Chapter 1930. Among the medicinal pills given to Sect Master Wang, there was a 6th-grade Millennium Pill and a profound Marrow Pill wrapped in a Millennium Pill. The true efficacy of these 2 medicinal pills, in Yang Chen's estimation, exceeded 3,000 years of cultivation. Sect Master Wang, who had directly increased his cultivation by 3,000 years, had to ascend even if he didn't want to. His current divine sense and mental state simply couldn't suppress the skyrocketing spirit force cultivation, so he could only ascend to the celestial world to find a way. Under the watchful eyes of the 7 core elders of the profound heaven sect and dozens of supreme mystic immortal elders, Sect Master Wang passed through the 99 heavenly tribulations in a row. He reluctantly said, "Kill the Zhao family." He reluctantly said, "Get rid of the Zhao family." No one expected such a result. Of course, Elder Li was an exception. However, Elder Li's expression was no different from everyone else's. They were all shocked and happy for Sect Master Wang's ascension. With Sect Master Wang's last words, Elder Li was basically the next successor of Sect Master Wang. It should have been the original Sect Master who ascended from the mortal world, but the successor's cultivation was still very low and wasn't strong enough to control the mysterious Heaven Sect. For now, everyone could only consider Sect Master Wang's suggestion. Everyone had seen Elder Li's contributions over the years, especially the few core elders who had been plotted against by Xue Fei. If it wasn't for Elder Li's reminder, they might have fallen into the hands of the Zhao family and become soulless puppets controlled by them. There was no need to talk about his contributions. Over the past few hundred years, Elder Li had deliberately made friends with various forces and roped in many experts. This allowed Elder Li's strength to surpass the other elders. In addition to Sect Master Wang's words, the disciples who were originally loyal to Sect Master Wang all turned to Elder Li's side, making Elder Li's faction the strongest in the mysterious Heaven Sect. Hall Master Lu and Elder Li had always been on the same side, so he was even more supportive at this time. The other two veteran core elders also did not have any other thoughts and supported Elder Li wholeheartedly. Only a few newly added core elders were left. No matter if it was in terms of strength or influence, they could not be compared to Elder Li. Elder Li taking over as the Black Heaven Sect Master was already a done deal. All that was left was a ceremony. The profound Heaven Sect's current Sect Master had ascended, and the new Sect Master's succession ceremony naturally couldn't be carried out carelessly. Coincidentally, the disciples of the mysterious Heaven Sect had just conquered all the territory that belonged to the mysterious Heaven Sect and were planning to rebuild the sect. Thus, the two matters merged into one. Returning to the sect and taking over the position of the new Sect Master became the focus of the mysterious Heaven Sect for the next 2 years. Countless disciples started to get busy. They built the mountain gate, sent out invitations, and all sorts of other things. They didn't stop for even a moment. This could be considered a joyous occasion for the mysterious Heaven Sect. At the very least, it alleviated the pain of losing close to 10,000 disciples. As the news spread, the spiritual world was in an uproar. The Sect Master of the profound Heaven Sect had actually transcended his tribulation and ascended. Those small rogue cultivators might not think that it was a big deal. It was normal for them to ascend once their cultivation reached a certain level. However, the sect members who were paying attention to the situation reacted differently. Sect Master Wang of the mysterious Heaven Sect had just reached the 4th stage of the sky, Immortal realm, a few decades ago. How could his cultivation advance by leaps and bounds in just a few decades to the point where he was about to transcend his tribulation and ascend? Thinking back to the destruction of the mysterious Heaven Sect side gate not long ago, those in charge of the sect wouldn't believe that there was no connection between this matter. However, the mysterious Heaven Sect didn't explain anything. They just politely sent a disciple with enough status to send an invitation, inviting them to attend the new Sect Master succession ceremony in 2 years. The mysterious Heaven Sect even specially noted on the invitation that the Sect Master was invited to attend and that there was something important to discuss. All the major sect members understood that there was something fishy about this matter. If they wanted to know the inside story, only the Sect Master would personally go. Otherwise, the mysterious Heaven Sect probably wouldn't easily reveal how important this matter was. The mysterious Heaven Sect's invitation naturally wouldn't be left behind in Chunyang Palace. The person who came to deliver the invitation to Chunyang Palace was Yang Chen's concubine, Tao Junkie. In addition to delivering the invitation, Tao Junkie also brought another thing to Yang Chen. Or rather, it was a person, a living mysterious Heaven Sect disciple. This mysterious Heaven Sect disciple was the direct disciple of Xue Fei, who had injured Lan Ying's friend a few years ago. However, he no longer had the demeanor of a sky immortal expert. His cultivation had been completely abolished, and he couldn't move at all. He was handed over to Yang Chun without any resistance. "Hubby, who is this person?" Tout Junkie didn't know who this person was. She only knew that her master had asked her to deliver this person to her hubby. She didn't ask much and immediately sent him over. However, when facing Yang Chun, Tout Junkie still asked curiously. Tout Junkie also returned to the sect after receiving the news that the side courtyard had been destroyed. As soon as she returned to the sect, Tout Junkie was sent to Elder Li's side and accepted as a direct disciple. Tout Junkie thought that it was just the sect's elder who took a fancy to her aptitude and wanted to win over her hubby. However, what Tout Junkie didn't know was that she didn't know how many people were secretly envious of her luck. Just because she had a good hubby, her status actually soared all the way. She was now a direct disciple of a core elder, but in a few years she would become a direct disciple of the new sect master. "It's just a traitor of the mysterious heaven sect." Yang Chen replied to Tout Junkie with a smile and no longer said anything. Tout Junkie wouldn't ask more about an irrelevant person. When the husband and wife met, they were naturally intimate. If it weren't for the recent matters in the mysterious heaven sect, Tout Junkie really wanted to spend more time with her hubby. Unfortunately, things didn't go as she wished. Tout Junkie could only stay for a few days before saying goodbye to her hubby. After sending Tout Junkie away, Yang Chun immediately sent someone to invite Elder Wu Xiong and Lan Ning. A few days later, the two arrived at Chunyang Palace from Sunset Rock. Looking at the motionless disciple of the mysterious heaven sect who couldn't resist, Lan Ning couldn't help but scream. She couldn't believe that Yang Chen's seemingly joking words from a few years ago had become a reality today. The guy she wanted to burn to ashes, even in her dreams, was kneeling in front of her and was really at her mercy. Elder Wu was also surprised, but he was much better than Lan Ning. At least he was able to control his emotions. Even so, Elder Wu stood in the same place with an incredible expression for a long time. He then sat in front of Yang Chun and looked at Yang Chun with an even more incredible gaze. He seemed to be waiting for his explanation. "How did you do it?" Lan Ning was indeed a straightforward guy. After being surprised, she stepped forward and beat the guy who had lost his cultivation base into a mass of meat sauce. After venting her anger, she rushed to Yang Chun and looked at Yang Chun and asked curiously. Chapter 1931. There must have been a major event in the Profound Heaven Sect recently, but this was not enough for the Profound Heaven Sect to send a fairy immortal disciple to Chunyang Palace. There must be some inside story that everyone didn't know. Lan Ning now killed the guy who used to be arrogant. Her thoughts were clear, and she felt comfortable looking at everything. She asked Yang Chun with a happy tone, "The Profound Heaven Sect has something to ask of me. I think it's worth the price of a fairy immortal disciple. So, you know the result." Yang Chen shrugged slightly and replied with a smile. "Not bad, not bad." Lan Ning laughed and patted Yang Chen's shoulder. She smiled all the way and left. Elder Wu Xiong was not as easy to fool as Lan Ning. When Lan Ning went far away, he smiled and asked in a low voice, "Is the matter of the Profound Heaven Sect related to you?" "A little bit." Yang Chen knew that the words he had just given to Lan Ning would definitely not be able to deal with Elder Wu Xiong, so he only admitted it to a limited extent. "Let's see." Elder Wu Xiong also laughed and patted Yang Chen's shoulder and left, but compared with Lan Ning, the happiness in their hearts was completely different. In any case, the succession of the new sect master of the Profound Heaven Sect was also a major event. Now, it was not like the time when the parties were divided during the demonic tribulation, nor was it the time when everyone was homeless and homeless. Therefore, something still needed to be grand. Yang Chun was definitely going to the Profound Heaven Sect to congratulate them. The palace master had nothing to do in recent days and planned to come together. The appearance of the palace master and the young palace master of the Chunyang Palace at the same time could be regarded as giving enough face to the Profound Heaven Sect. Watching his own arrangement come true step by step, Yang Chun also had an unprecedented sense of satisfaction in his heart. Who would have thought that a nobody who had been chased by the mysterious Heaven Sect in his previous life would be able to secretly replace the sect master of the mysterious Heaven Sect with the one he needed? This kind of satisfaction of changing dynasties was far from killing a few Xian immortal masters and refining the best quality medicinal pills. The kind of elevation that it brought to Yang Qin's state of mind was far from what ordinary small fights could compare to. When he found out that Sect Master Wang had ascended and that Elderly had become the new Sect Master of the mysterious Heaven Sect, Yang Qin's state of mind had risen to another level. It was a grand feeling of the heavens as the chessboard, the stars as the pawns, the earth as the pipa, and the road as the strings. With a flip of one's hand, clouds could be created and rain could be created. At that moment, Yang Qin's sea of consciousness surged along with Yang Qin's spiritual consciousness, directly forming a magnificent palace in his sea of consciousness, containing everything in Yang Qin's sea of consciousness. The style of the palace was exactly the same as the numinous sky hall of the celestial world's heavenly court. There was even a clear horizontal board on it, with the words Numinous Sky Hall of the Treasured Sky written on it. As soon as the Numinous Sky Hall of the Treasured Sky was completed, Yang Qin's spiritual consciousness cultivation increased by a small realm and rushed straight to the third stage of the Xian immortal realm. With the Numinous Sky Hall as the framework, his entire sea of consciousness was as solid as steel and could no longer be shaken. Although there was a drastic change in his sea of consciousness, Yang Qin's external appearance did not show any change. No one else could detect the change in Yang Qin. However, unknowingly, those who were close to Yang Qin would feel that Yang Qin was becoming more amiable, approachable, and easy to get along with. Even those who came to ask for alchemy, when they saw Yang Qin, they could feel the kind of relaxation that made people feel like a spring breeze. If one did not pay special attention, it was easy to ignore Yang Qin in the crowd. It seemed that anyone who was with Yang Qin did not have to worry about any pressure and could be relaxed. The most obvious one was Lin Jingyuan. Although he still had a silly look, perhaps it was because of this that he could feel the extraordinary change in Yang Qin and felt an unprecedented closeness to Yang Qin. Even if Yang Qin showed a little dissatisfaction in front of him, he did not care. If it was anyone else, as long as they had the slightest interest, they would have been torn to pieces by Lin Jingyuan. The other person who felt these changes was Zhou Xianying. After all these years of experience killing demonic beasts, Zhou Xianying was already 100% heavenly zither fairy. Of course, this was what she was called on the surface. Some people who were afraid wanted to call Zhou Xianying the heavenly zither demon. Perhaps it was because Zhou Xianying had the highest cultivation among Yang Qin's wives and concubines, or perhaps it was because she was the daughter of an expert in the immortal world. She was extremely sensitive to the changes in Yang Qin. "Husband, what happened?" When she saw Yang Qin again, Zhou Xianying noticed the change in Yang Qin for the first time and immediately asked, "It's nothing big, it's a good thing." Yang Qin did not explain in detail. Zhou Xianying was also a smart person and did not ask much. However, this change in Yang Qin was definitely a good thing. Zhou Xianying was very sure of this. The most obvious thing that the close wives and concubines felt was that Yang Qin cared for them more than in the past, making them more and more indulged in the arms of Yang Qin and unable to extricate themselves. It was indescribably natural and cordial, but it made people linger, wishing that they could be with her husband and not be separated until the end of time. Despite this, when Yang Qin went to the Xintian sect, he did not take anyone with him and only went on the road with the head of the palace. This was going to the Xintian sect, and there may be many secret things. With more people, some things could not be done. Basically, the road from Lin Yangchuan to the Xintian sect had been opened, and the monsters on the road were also killed. As long as they followed the usual road, there would be no danger. Along the way, there were even newly open markets to live in, and the road was very safe. Yang Qin and the head of the palace arrived at the Xintian sect a month in advance. As soon as they arrived at the Xintian sect, they were recognized before they registered, and then there was an extraordinary grand reception. The head of the palace was sent to the Heavenly Dragon Pavilion, where the most distinguished guests were received. Only the sect masters and core elders of the super sect were received here. Anyone from other sect was not qualified to be stationed here. The head of the palace was the only exception. But even so, no one had any objections to this. First, Chunyang Palace sent a lot of favors in Linyangchuan. Second, whether it was the Sheeping Mountain Courtyard or the later ascension of Sect Master Wang, there was Yangchen's shadow in it. No one would find trouble for themselves on this issue. Originally, Yangchen was also settled here, but Tao Junki, the personal disciple of the current sect master of the Xintian sect, was Yangchen's concubine, so Yangchen lived directly in Tao Junki's residence. This was the same treatment as a son-in-law, but it was more cordial and natural than the Heavenly Dragon Pavilion. Tao Junki was overjoyed and almost took her husband to have a good time in the Xintian sect. It was just that Yangchen had just moved in, and the next day, there were visitors coming to visit. Chapter 1932. When saving Sect Master Wang, the pills refined by Yangchen played a key role. Whether it was the life-saving Lingji Du pill or the combination pill used to regulate Sect Master Wang's chaotic spirit energy, each of them was of the highest quality. Their medicinal effects were extremely powerful and rare. Who didn't want a life-saving pill? Who didn't want a combination pill that could regulate spirit energy at a critical moment? As long as it was someone who was present at that time, other than elderly who was well aware of the effects of the combination pill, who wouldn't want to have a few of these life-saving pills? Now that Yangchen had personally come to congratulate them, this was a rare opportunity. If they didn't take advantage of this opportunity to ask Yangchen for a pill, when would they? The first to arrive was the Law Enforcement Hall Master Lu. He was very clear about the relationship between Yangchen and the mysterious Heaven Sect, as well as the relationship between Yangchen and Sect Master Li. Thus, he didn't expose this relationship in front of Tao Junki and only came as an ordinary elder to ask for a pill. At this time, how could Yangchen let Hall Master Lu lose face? Especially when he was still at Tao Junki's residence. He didn't say anything and directly agreed. He didn't even accept the various benefits promised by Hall Master Lu. In the end, he only accepted the materials for refining pills and directly stated that it was a gift from Tao Junki to Hall Master Lu. Of course, Hall Master Lu understood what this meant, but he didn't expose it and accepted Yangchen's gift. Of course, this favor was on Tao Junki's head. When he left, he directly guaranteed that if anything happened in the mysterious Heaven Sect, as long as Tao Junki went to Hall Master Lu, he wouldn't say anything. Tao Junki was the direct disciple of the new sect master, and with Hall Master Lu's guarantee, she could do whatever she wanted in the mysterious Heaven Sect. How could Fairy Junki not understand that her husband was doing this for her? She was very grateful and became even more affectionate toward her husband. Hall Master Lu was just the beginning. What followed was an endless stream of people. First, it was the other two core elders with the most seniority, followed by the two newly added core elders. The core higher-ups, Sect Master Wang, ascended, Xue Fei was killed, Zhu Tao was taken down, and elderly became Sect Master Li. Basically, all the core higher-ups, except for Sect Master Li, came once. It didn't matter if it was one sheep or two. Yangchen didn't reject any of them and agreed to all of them. These were all the core higher-ups of the mysterious Heaven Sect, and Yangchen had given them all the same favor. As long as he had the raw materials, he would refine them for free. This made the core higher-ups grin from ear to ear, and they naturally took care of Tao Junki in many ways. After the core members of the upper echelons were the 36 supreme experts who had formed the Heavenly Dipper Formation on the day of the incident. These 36 experts were the ultimate strength of the Sect Master. Wherever the Sect Master went, they would go. He used to follow Sect Leader Wang, but now he was following Sect Leader Li. Asking for pills? No problem. This time, Yangchen had truly given a huge favor. These masters would be in charge of the sect for many years, and all the favors were on Tao Junki's head. After all the masters who knew about it had come around, Yangchen and Tao Junki were also stunned to find that a month had passed quickly, and it would soon be the inauguration ceremony of Sect Master Li. Basically, the core higher-ups and the ultimate strength of the mysterious Heaven Sect remembered Tao Junki's favor. As long as Tao Junki did not betray the sect, not to mention walking sideways in the mysterious Heaven Sect, Even if she bullied men and women, it was estimated that everyone would turn a blind eye to it. When Yang Chun said this, Tao Junkie laughed so hard that she couldn't stand up straight. In the end, she leaned on her husband and said, "If I bully men and women in the sect, I'm afraid that others won't say anything, but Master will remind me not to betray my husband." After some lingering, the next day was the inauguration ceremony of the mysterious heaven sect. Yang Chun and the palace master stood in the most distinguished guest area and watched the most grand ceremony in the spiritual world from the closest distance. All the sect masters of the super sect were present. After the inauguration ceremony was completed, the new sect master Li personally received and talked with them. The content of the meeting was naturally that sect master Li told the sect masters what happened in the mysterious heaven sect. In addition, he reminded the sect to be careful of the Zhao family's conspiracy. In addition, the most important news was also revealed. That was the location of the Zhao family. This was the top secret, limited to the sect masters of the super sect present. It must not be disclosed to other people in the sect at will, so as not to be taken advantage of by the Zhao family spies. However, this news was also the best bait to draw out the Zhao family spies hidden in the high level of the sect. This was what the mysterious heaven sect did. As for how the various sects used it, it depended on the means of their respective sect masters. If they couldn't even do this, then their sect master was just a figurehead. After listening to the narration of sect master Li, all the sect masters were shocked. The Five Elements sect was better. They had already found Yang Haoshuan and his son in advance. There may be other people, but over the years, sect master Chui has basically ruled out other people. On the other hand, other sect masters have only found some small shrimps so far, and have not found any big characters who could threaten themselves. Obviously, they were hidden very deeply. Perhaps the Zhao family could catch a few big fishes, but it depended on the means and luck of the sect masters. Another major event was the alliance of all parties. After thoroughly cleaning up the demonic tribulation monsters, how to attack the trial site would take a long time of preparation and mobilization. This was in the future. Sect Master Li only put forward a concept, and the specific action had to be specifically planned in the future. At this point, with the departure of all the guests, the inauguration ceremony of the new sect master of the mysterious heaven sect also came to an end. The era of Sect Master Wang had drawn the curtain, and the era of Sect Master Li had just begun. All the sect masters of the super sect understood that the bloody situation in the spiritual world was actually just beginning. After Yang Chun met with Sect Master Li alone, he left the mysterious heaven sect with the palace master. However, the reputation of Yang Chun, the alchemy grandmaster, also spread throughout the spiritual world with the departure of the guests. The mysterious heaven sect did not conceal the fact that Sect Master Wang was injured by the Zhao family spy. This matter could not be hidden. Except for Zhu Tao's matter, Xue Fei's matter was exposed, including how Xue Fei plotted against several core executives, how he detonated his magic weapon to blow up the entire gate of the Sheeping Mountain courtyard, etc. All were publicized. Naturally, people were most concerned about Yang Chen's life-saving elixir and the series of combination elixirs that could regulate spiritual power. At this time, people really understood why the palace master of the Chunyang Palace was treated as a first-class VIP. If it was their own sect, it was estimated that they would be treated the same way. Suddenly, everyone's attention began to focus on those combination elixirs. Yang Chun had not left the mysterious heaven sect for long, and there were already several sect masters of the super sect waiting on the road to discuss with Yang Chun about these elixirs. Chapter 1933. In the territory of the Xintian sect, it was not easy for people from other sects to get in touch with Yang Chun. If Yang Chun lived with the palace master in the Heavenly Dragon Pavilion, it would be fine, and they could contact each other in the name of visiting, but Yang Chun lived in the residence of his own concubine, Tao Junkie. If people from other sects did not have a close relationship with Tao Junkie, it would be rude to visit. Moreover, before the discussion between Sect Master Li and everyone, the parties did not know that Yang Chun had made such a heaven-defying medicinal pill. The whereabouts of the Zhao family that Sect Master Li said was already very shocking. And now, there was a combination of medicinal pills made by Yang Chun, which made it even more impossible to keep calm. Those sect who realized the power of these combination medicinal pills immediately sent people to wait in all directions, just to meet with Yang Chun and discuss things in this regard. At this point, the 5 major Dao sect and Yin Yang Demon School had a natural advantage. They didn't have to wait on the road. They just had to wait for Yang Chun to go back and send Yang Chun's wives and concubines over. Yang Chun would always give them this face. Other sect was not so sure, especially after Yang Chun made a brand new medicinal pill on the basis of the Yuan marrow pill. Everyone could not guarantee that Yang Chun would be able to meet their requirements. Speaking of which, Yang Chun made this kind of medicinal pill based on the Yuan marrow pill, which could maintain the most basic circulation of the spirit cultivation method, was also specially made for Sect Master Wang. He did not expect that by accident, it would become the reputation of the combination medicinal pill. In fact, the most important effect of the combination medicinal pill was to adjust the spiritual power and quickly improve the cultivation base. If it was a normal cultivation, few cultivators in the Dao sects would choose this method. But for some people in the demon sect and the monster race, this was simply a great opportunity given by the heavens. Of course, the people in the Dao sects did not need such effects at all. At the very least, when it came to saving lives at critical moments, the combination pill was indeed famous. However, whether it was the people from the Black Heaven sect or Yang Chun, they did not see the other important function of the combination of pills for the Dao sect. Those who had died, but were resurrected with the help of the divine perching jade were still recuperating. Every one of them was an elite among the elites in their respective sect, the core of the core. Otherwise, the sect wouldn't have given them the divine dwelling jade. With the loss of these extremely important experts, the overall strength of the sects could be said to have dropped a lot in an instant. Originally, these experts who relied on the divine perching jade to revive would need at least 1,000 years to recover to their peak state. However, the appearance of the combination pill gave them another opportunity to be able to raise Sect Master Wang from a seriously injured and dying state to the point of transcending the tribulation and ascending in just half a year. It could be assumed that these pills could easily restore the experts who were recuperating to their peak state. The Black Heaven sect did not think of this because all the experts in the Black Heaven sect who relied on the divine perching jade had died in the attack of the Zhao family hundreds of years ago. There was no chance for them to be resurrected. Basically, no one in the sect was thinking about this. However, it was different for the other sect, especially the higher-ups. It could be said that they were thinking about this matter day and night. Once those resurrected experts recovered, the strength of the sect would immediately increase by at least 50%. How could the other sect let go of such an opportunity? For those experts who were recuperating, the rapid improvement of their cultivation did not have the problem of having an insufficient state of mind due to the rapid improvement of their cultivation. Their original goal was to recover, not to improve further. Moreover, these experts had already walked the line of life and death. Their state of mind would only become stronger, not unstable. Yang Chun did not expect that there would be such a magical effect. When he met the Limitless Demon Sect's sect master, Yang Chun realized that this kind of new medicinal pill could be said to be attractive to these sections. Ask for a pill? No problem. But he had to pay a price that was enough to impress Yang Chun and Chunyang Palace. This was Yang Chun's usual practice, and everyone was used to it. Although Yang Chun was there, and the palace master of Chunyang Palace was also there, the sect master of Yin Yang Demon School did not immediately discuss the conditions with the palace master. After all, they invited people on the way. Now it was enough to have Yang Chun's promise. They did not dare to reach an agreement here. Although Chunyang Palace was not comparable to these super sect, it was not something that they could summon at will. At the very least, they still had to give respect. The specific conditions could only wait for the palace master and Yang Chun to return to Chunyang Palace. Yin Yang Demon School would then send people to Chunyang Palace to discuss in person. In any case, they must give enough face to Chunyang Palace and Yang Chun. However, Yang Shun also said in advance that what was given to Sect Master Wang before was because of his special identity and the urgency of the situation, so he used the Millennium Pill. It must be known that whether it was the Millennium Pill or the 100-Year Pill, the raw material used was the Devilish Bead. Only Yang Shun had the Devilish Bead, and the number was not much, so Yang Shun may study a kind of recovery pill for these experts, rather than directly using the 100-Year Pill, the Millennium Pill, such an overbearing method. Now that he had this combination of pills, he could give a small amount to the sect leaders just in case. But more words could not be guaranteed, which Yang Shun must make clear. For Yang Chen's promise, everyone was even happier. If there could be a special recovery pill for those experts, it would naturally be the best. They could also get a few of the combination life-saving pills, so naturally they would not have too much dissatisfaction. The rest was to go back and consider what price should be paid. After being personally verified by Sect Master Wang of the Xintian sect, there was no need to doubt the efficacy of the life-saving pill. It was certain that the price would not be very cheap. Everyone had already prepared for this. Several invitations encountered on the way were basically the same. Yang Chen also answered one by one according to the agreement reached with Wuji Demon School and got satisfactory results. If there was a fly in the ointment, it was that the demon sect and monster race wanted the 100-Year Pill to directly enhance their cultivation base. There were not many Millennium Pills, and Yang Chen basically did not consider providing it on a large scale. Even if it was a small purchase, it would require an extremely painful price. Yang Chen and the Palace Master were almost personally sent to Chunyang Palace by the sect masters of the major sect. The scene was so big that people who saw it were stunned. First, it was the Xintian sect, then it was the sect masters of the major sect. When the news from the Xintian sect was revealed, those cultivators knew that Master Yang Chen had made a series of combination pills. When they heard about the powerful medicinal effects of the combined elixir, many people began to make calculations in their hearts. Chapter 1934. Can we refine this kind of medicinal pill? After the news reached Danding sect, the largest alchemy sect in the spiritual realm, the sect master of Danding sect immediately gathered the sect's top management and discussed it. Since Yang Chen came to the spiritual realm, he had been constantly stirring up various topics on the path of alchemy. They thought that Yang Chen would at least stop for a while after losing his cultivation, but they didn't expect that in just a few hundred years, not only did Yang Chen recover his cultivation, but he even broke through the bottleneck of a 5th-grade alchemist and directly became a 6th-grade alchemist, causing another uproar. The youngest 6th-grade alchemist in the spiritual realm, this title could definitely make people praise Yang Chen. One had to know that most of the talented alchemists at Yang Chen's age, when Yang Chen ascended to the spiritual realm, barely became a 5th-grade alchemist. Yang Chen was a big step faster than everyone. When everyone was a 4th-grade alchemist in the mortal world, Yang Chen had already become a 5th-grade alchemist. When everyone was trying to become a 5th-grade alchemist, Yang Chen had actually jumped to 6th grade. This kind of heaven-defying growth speed could almost make the guys who chased after his back feel despair. It is said that it is modified on the basis of the accumulation marrow pill, adding a spontaneous effect of cultivating essence qi. The one who spoke was the strongest supreme mystic immortal alchemist in Danding sect. He had become a 7th-grade alchemist more than 1,000 years ago and was now the supreme elder of Danding sect. In terms of alchemy, he had the most right to speak. If that's the case, maybe this old man can try to refine a few. The Supreme Elder had already pondered for a while and felt that it was not a big problem. Sometimes people lack imagination about what kind of medicinal pill to refine. Since there is a specific medicinal effect requirement, we can give it a try. Since the Grand Elder had spoken, no one had any objections. Everyone was a high-level alchemist, so they naturally understood the difficulty of creating a new kind of medicinal pill. However, since Yang Chen, a 6th-grade alchemist, could refine it, there was no need for so many 7th-grade alchemists to belittle themselves and say that it was impossible. The last time the sect was warned by the Dragon Clan Master, Yang Chen must be related to the Dragon Clan. Is this medicinal pill from the Dragon Clan? Someone still mentioned this matter, which made many people's faces ugly. In order to solve the problem for Yang Chun, Ao Lai directly killed the guy who had the idea of profound spirit furnace in front of the high level of Danding sect, which really shocked many people. However, the Pill Cauldron School was afraid of spreading their dirty linen in public, and they were also afraid of arousing the dissatisfaction of the Dragon Clan. So, this news was only known to a few of their disciples, and they didn't dare to spread it. It was no secret that Yang Chun was related to the Dragon Clan, not to mention the clear dragon mark on his medicinal pill and the master of the Dragon Clan who appeared in the Danding sect. The news from the Five Elements sect had clearly shown that Yang Chun had at least 2 living Dragon Clan members. The relationship between Yang Chun and the Dragon Clan was not a secret, not to mention the clear dragon mark on his medicinal pill and the master of the Dragon Clan who appeared in Danding sect. The news from the Five Elements sect later clearly showed that Yang Chun had a close relationship with at least 2 living dragons. Among the cultivators, there has never been such a combination of medicinal pills. It was very normal for some people to suspect that the origin of the medicinal pill was related to the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan has disappeared in front of the cultivators for many years, but when it comes to the Dragon Clan, many cultivators are still silent. In the past, we were a little arrogant. Maybe we were a little jealous and dissatisfied, and looked down on a little 5th-grade alchemist. The sect master began to review his previous practices. Should we also actively cultivate some good cooperative relations with Master Yang in the future? We can try to take the initiative to make contact. Several elders began to nod. In the past, everyone was indeed a little jealous, and they did not want to suppress the young man who became a 5th-grade alchemist master in the mortal world. But now that Yang Chun has shown a strong momentum of development and has a good cooperative relationship with many powerful forces, Danding's sect can't stay out of it. There is a disciple named Dang Ya who ascended at about the same time as Master Yang. It is said that she has a good relationship with Master Yang in the mortal world. Immediately, an elder thought of Dang Ya and suggested on the spot, "This disciple is also very excellent." She became a 5th-grade alchemist master in less than 100 years after ascending. Let her come forward and try to contact Master Yang. Everyone nodded slightly. Since the relationship was very good in the mortal world, it would not be abrupt to visit now. It would be best if they could build a relationship. Even if they couldn't, there was no loss. Does Master Yang have any alchemist disciples in the mortal world? Someone immediately thought of another aspect. He hasn't ascended yet. If possible, maybe we can find a breakthrough from his disciples. This was an idea that no one had thought of. Everyone in the spiritual world saw the excellence of Yang Chun, but no one paid attention to Yang Chen's disciples. According to the time, Yang Chen's disciples should have ascended long ago. Even if the cultivation of the alchemist was slightly worse, it was almost the same time. It was not only Danding's sect who thought of this. Many sects were thinking of various ways to make friends with Yang Chun. Naturally, some people thought of his disciples. Sometimes things were like this, and they couldn't stand to be talked about. When many cultivators were thinking about how to make friends with Yang Chen's disciples, Ho Yin returned to Chunyang Palace with a few people to meet Yang Chun. Disciple pays respect to master. 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman, bowed in front of Yang Chun. They were the first 3 disciples of Yang Chun, Mu Bo, Anna Meng Yu, and Yi Yu. Get up. Yang Chun was also very happy to see his 3 disciples. He let the 3 disciples get up and then began to ask them some things about the mortal world. The time of the 3 people's ascension was basically what Yang Chun had already told them. It couldn't be too early. If it was too early, the welcoming town would be occupied by the demon beasts, and they would run into the demon beast tide when they ascended. The time was just right. All the parties had recovered the lost land, but the devil tribulation had not completely passed. The 3 of them could go to the front to kill the demon beasts and gain experience. They wouldn't miss this opportunity. Everything was going well in the mortal world. Chunyang Palace was developing more and more, and there were already people calling for it to be the next super sect. Outstanding disciples emerged one after another. Now was the time for masters to emerge. It was estimated that in 100 years, the number of masters who ascended from Chunyang Palace would be several times more than now. Mu Bo and the other two had also reached the highest human immortal realm in the mortal world. They had guarded the sect for hundreds of years before they ascended. As soon as they came out of the welcoming town, they met Ho Yun, who happened to pass by. Ho Yun had fought with Mu Bo many times in the mortal world, so Ho Yun recommended himself and personally brought the three back to the sect. Good. It's good that you ascended. Yang Chun praised them a little and let them settle down first. After a year or two, he would let them go to the Devil Tribulation and the Demon Beast Tide to gain experience. Chapter 1935. Originally, the cultivators who have just ascended need to go through a long period of adaptation. After fully adapting to the spiritual pressure of the spiritual world, it was the best way to go out for a trial. This was the case for Yang Chun and his wives and concubines. This adaptation process alone took almost 200 years. In the words of Big Brother Li Chung, it was at least 100 million cycles of their own refined cultivation method. However, now the opportunity of the demonic tribulation of the spiritual world and the monster tide was rare. It was a waste of resources to let Mu Bo, Hannah Mingyu, and Yi Yu waste such an opportunity. The next time there would be such an opportunity, it was not known how many years later. It was better to join the trial as soon as possible. Not to mention anything else, Mu Bo and Yi Yu were not worry-free masters in their previous lives. Either one of them was famous. Although it was said that the trial was a little early, it was obviously not a big deal for these two guys. Especially with Ho Yun, a guy who was eager to see the world in chaos. It was just to the appetite of the two villains. If it weren't for Yang Chun and Chunyang Palace, they must come to visit their master and the sect. Maybe they would have already followed Ho Yun to kill. Only Hannah Mingyu was relatively quiet. After all, Hannah Mingyu's specialty was not fighting, but cultivating various plants. After greeting her master and the elders, such as the head of the palace, Hannah Mingyu went into the pure bottle medicine garden and went to meet with a Zhu and a Bai who had not been seen for a long time. Yang Chun was also very happy to see his own pro-disciples after hundreds of years. After seriously examining the cultivation of Mu Bo, Hannah Mingyu, and Yi Yu, he nodded with satisfaction. These disciples did not slack off. Their cultivation was very solid. No matter how one looked at it, they were proper cultivation geniuses. After not seeing each other for hundreds of years, Yang Chun also taught them carefully according to the characteristics of each person. In this aspect, even Yi Yu, who had cultivated the demon clan's hereditary cultivation method, had to listen obediently. Yi Yu is currently practicing the Taoist heart demonic technique, a demonic technique that was cultivated using the methods of Taoism. It was the first in the world. On the path of cultivation, he had been trembling with fear and trepidation. He had been discussing with his master, Yang Chun, along the way, afraid that he would make any mistakes. For a period of time, the Pure Yang Palace seemed to be calm. This calmness had even spread to the Black Heaven sect. The ascension of the mysterious Heaven sect, Master Wang, and sect Master Li's succession did not cause too much turmoil in the mysterious Heaven sect. At least, that was what the higher-ups of the mysterious Heaven sect thought. A large number of the spies hidden among the disciples of the mysterious Heaven sect had been dug out. Although the mysterious Heaven sect had lost a lot of disciples, its cohesion and purity had greatly improved. This was similar to the previous purge in the Five Elements sect. The remaining disciples were all loyal, so it was naturally much easier to control them. After experiencing this internal friction in the sect, even the toughest leader had to relax the pace of the investigation and let the sect recharge its strength. Otherwise, it would not just cause turmoil in the sect. It was very likely that everyone would be in danger. When that time came, how could the mysterious Heaven sect still have any cohesion? This time, Xuefei and Zhu Tao were dug out, which really made the higher-ups of the mysterious Heaven sect break out in a cold sweat. These two people had already stepped into the core of the higher-ups. If they had not been exposed due to a freak combination of factors, who knew what kind of bad impact it would have on the sect in the future? Zhu Tao had been personally controlled by Hall Master Lu, and he had been constantly getting some internal secrets of the Zhao family from him. Unfortunately, Zhu Tao had been placed in the mysterious heaven sect since the mortal world, so he did not know much about the Zhao family in the spiritual realm. What he knew was only from the mortal world, but the Zhao family in the mortal world had already been destroyed. Even if he knew more, there was not much point. The only gain was that he learned some ways to contact the Zhao family from Zhu Tao. These contact methods had also been used before Zhu Tao's identity was announced to the public, and several contacts of the Zhao family were caught. Unfortunately, this method could only be used for a short period of time. Once Zhu Tao's identity was announced, it was basically useless. The Zhao family would not let their own people be caught without making any targeted arrangements. Zhu Tao's capture also brought another benefit, but this benefit was not for the mysterious heaven sect, but for Yang Chun. The reason why the disciples of the mysterious heaven sect hated Yang Chun was that Yang Chun had killed the cultivation genius of the mysterious heaven sect, young Master Yixian, shortly after he ascended to the spiritual realm. Young Master Yixian's full name was Zhu Yixian, and he had another identity. He was the biological son of Zhu Tao, the hall master of the mysterious heaven sect's medicine hall. When Zhu Yixian was killed, Zhu Tao was already the hall master of the medicine hall and had a high position of power. Even if he was not considered a core member of the mysterious heaven sect, he was still a big shot second only to them. If nothing unexpected happened, Zhu Tao would have been able to enter the core of the sect if he had waited for the other core members to ascend. It was precisely because of this relationship that Zhu Yixian was also a genius that countless people flattered in the mysterious heaven sect. At that time, when Zhu Yixian was killed, many disciples in the mysterious heaven sect clamored to tear Yang Chun into pieces to avenge Zhu Yixian. There were even a few disciples from the law enforcement hall among the clamoring disciples. However, when Zhu Tao's identity was revealed, he immediately became a prisoner. The mysterious heaven sect no longer mentioned the topic of avenging young Master Yixian. Among the disciples who were close friends with Zhu Yixian, it was not known how many people were grateful to Yang Chun. At that time, the only way for those disciples to please Hall Master Zhu of the Medicine Hall was through Zhu Yixian. If Yang Chun hadn't killed Zhu Yixian, maybe they would have deliberately approached Zhu Yixian in order to please Zhu Tao and become Zhu Yixian's friend. This also meant that once Zhu Tao's identity was dug out, the first to be purged would be Zhu Yixian and his friends. At that time, Yang Chun killed Zhu Yixian. At that time, it seemed like he had cut off their way to curry favor with Zhu Tao. But now, didn't he save their lives? Those people who wanted to do something to Yang Chun at that time didn't know how to thank Yang Chun for his actions. Even Yang Chun himself didn't know that he would get such benefits by accident. The entire mysterious heaven sect no longer had any malice towards him. This made Yang Chun, who had been chased by the mysterious heaven sect in his previous life, not know whether to laugh or cry. However, Yang Chun didn't care about what these people thought now. The demonic calamity of the spiritual realm seemed to be coming to an end, but Yang Chun knew that this was the time when the real danger would come. The demonic beast that counterattacked would definitely be driven by the Zhao family to kill the cultivators of the spiritual realm. If Mu Bo and the others wanted to catch up to the end of the trial, they would have to make sufficient preparations. Chapter 1936. Mu Bo was a monster, and the monster race had its own way. After all, Yang Chun had no actual monster cultivation experience, so most of the guidance to Mu Bo was focused on the general direction. In his previous life, Yang Chun had seen countless great monsters in the immortal world. Even if he didn't know their specific cultivation methods, he still knew their cultivation direction and cultivation philosophy. In particular, Yang Chun clearly remembered Mu Bo's later achievements, and it was not very complicated to give guidance in this aspect. Hannah Mingyo's specialty was not in fighting, and her aptitude in her previous life was not very good. In this life, Yang Chun had improved Hannah Mingyo's aptitude to the Hotian full value through the merit body refining pill, and her cultivation was very smooth. Her talent was to communicate with plants, and Aju and Aba were plants themselves, so they hit it off with Hannah Mingyo. In terms of plant cultivation, Yang Chun's pure bottle medicine garden could almost be said to be the strongest in the spiritual world. After Hannah Mingyu plunged in, She basically didn't come out most of the time, except when Yang Chun guided her cultivation. Yi was a little troublesome. Yang Chun used his Tao heart and demonic skills to build the foundation for Yi, and the direction of cultivation was also a new way. If Yang Chun hadn't abolished his own cultivation and recultivated, if Yang Chun hadn't created the Jinshin secret art, he really wouldn't have been able to give Yi much guidance in this regard. Fortunately, now Yang Chun was also very good at this kind of cultivation method, and it was not difficult for him to guide Yi. In just 2 years, Mu Bo and Yi's cultivation directly improved by a small realm and stepped into the 4th grade of human immortal. Of course, this was also the accumulated credit in the mortal world for hundreds of years, but Yang Chen's guidance undoubtedly saved them a lot of detours. The two of them didn't catch up with the experience of the demon continent in the mortal world, but when they arrived in the spiritual world, they just caught up with the end of the demonic tribulation in the spiritual world. 2 years later, Yang Chen no longer restricted them to stay in the sect. Instead, he let them go out into the demonic beast tide to kill and comprehend by themselves. Hannah Mengyu basically stayed in the herb garden and continued to cultivate. The killing outside was not suitable for her. In the past 2 years, Hannah Mengyu had added thousands of new plant species to Yang Chen's herb garden. These were all personally collected by Hannah Mengyu in the mortal world. She had also done some research on the medicinal properties of these plants. All the conclusions were handed over to Yang Chun. As for the specific prospects of these new medicinal herbs, they still needed Yang Chun, the genius alchemist, to verify them one by one. Yang Chun was also very interested in this. Together with Hannah Mengyu, Zhu, and Abai, they happily summarized these new medicinal materials. Yang Chun even tasted some of them personally, just like the legendary Shinnon, to personally determine the efficacy. It must be said that Hannah Mengyu was extremely talented in this regard. Yang Chun soon discovered in his research that several of the key and more precious medicinal materials for refining the questioning inner heart pill and the Yunji pill could basically be substituted in these new medicines brought by Hannah Mengyu. The most important thing was that the cultivation of the new medicinal materials was much simpler than the original ones. In this way, the cost could be greatly reduced, and even the difficulty of refining was much lower. Many times this was the case. When the cost of medicinal materials was no longer considered, the mentality during refining would definitely be much more relaxed, and the success rate would be correspondingly improved. Refining ginseng and refining carrots were completely different mental states, and some things were naturally simple. Corresponding to the reduction of the cost and the reduction of the difficulty of refining, the efficacy of the new medicinal pills replaced by these new medicinal materials was slightly lower than the original questioning inner heart pill and Yunji pill. However, compared with the greatly reduced cost and refining time, this reduction in efficacy was negligible, and the cost-effectiveness of the new medicinal pills had been effectively improved. As soon as he was immersed in research, time flew by. In the blink of an eye, decades had passed. Yang Chen's wives and concubines had also come back several times. After a short reunion with Yang Chen for a period of time, they left to kill again. Everyone knew that the demonic tribulation of the spiritual world had come to an end, and they had to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to enrich themselves. Correspondingly, Yang Chen did not go out for almost a day to gain experience. In the beginning, Yang Chen's cultivation was completely abolished, and he had to recultivate. After his cultivation recovered, he kept refining pills. Except for going out during the inauguration ceremony of the Xintian sect master, he spent all his time hiding in Chunyang Palace. The news from Chunyang Palace was that Yang Chen had been constantly honing his alchemy skills. While everyone understood this, they could not help but once again completely define Yang Chen as a genius alchemy master. As for Yang Chen's powerful combat power, did Master Yang Chen have such a thing? Yang Chen had never thought about hiding his combat power, but no matter how fierce and notorious the people he had killed, the cultivators who did not know his true strength would always only attribute it to the masters around Yang Chen. Anyway, none of them really fell on Yang Chen. If there were no accidents, the demonic tribulation of the spiritual world would slowly end in this seemingly intense but actually stable state. Those ferocious demon beasts would once again be confined to a small circle within the trial grounds. The only difference was that this time, the trial grounds would no longer be a forbidden zone for the various sections. Instead, it would be a holy land for all cultivators to freely enter and leave. The wish was good, but some things still happened uncontrollably. Just when Yangshan was concentrating on the new medicinal materials, someone anonymously sent a message to Yangshan. Yangshan's apprentices, Mu Bo and Yiyu, who were outside, were besieged in a mysterious place. The other party specifically requested that if they wanted the two of them to live, it was best to rush to a certain place alone before a certain time. Otherwise, they could not guarantee the lives of Mu Bo and Yiyu, as well as the lives of several disciples of Chunyang Palace. With Mu Bai and Yiyu, there were several disciples of the Hall of Eccentrics led by the old tree demon Ho Yun, Shi Kuei, and Xie Sha, and even Lanning were among them. These guys were all notorious, ruthless people. It was normal for them to get together, but the problem was that now they were all trapped. Listening to the other side, it seemed that they could take their lives at any time. These people were all mortals who had followed Yangshan all the way to the mortal world. It could be said that these were the real direct disciples of Chunyang Palace. Now they were actually trapped without anyone knowing and used to threaten Yangshan. Perhaps it was because Yangshan had been closed in Chunyang Palace. Those who wanted to fight with Yangshan had no chance at all. They could only turn their eyes to the people that Yangshan cared about. It had to be said that these guys did find a good breakthrough. If they couldn't find Yangshan, then they would find Yangshan's apprentices. It was just that they didn't know whether they were wise or stupid this time. Chapter 1937. The news was recorded on a piece of jade slip and was given to Yangshan by name. There was a simple formation on the jade slip. Of course, there was also a method to unlock the formation, but it could only be used once. The jade slip was sent to a shop assistant in Wanbao Tower and then passed on through Elder Wu Xiong. From the beginning, the shop assistant and Elder Wu Xiong did not unlock the formation to read the contents. It was not until the jade slip was in Yangshan's hands that he read all the contents. Bang! When Yangshan finished reading, the formation on the jade slip was directly activated and the jade slip, which looked quite good, exploded into pieces. The guy who set it up was very exquisite. The power of the explosion was restrained on the jade slip. Yangshan did not feel any pain when he held the jade slip. He just felt his hand lighten and the jade slip turn into powder. Do you remember who sent the message? Yangshan's face did not have the slightest change in expression. He just faintly asked Elder Wu, just like an ordinary person who knew about something curious. Elder Wu Xiong returned to the sect on the way. He also took a batch of medicinal pills from Yangshan to fill the auction warehouse of Wanbao Tower. Therefore, he brought the jade slip to Yangshan. At first, the person who sent the jade slip was not personally received by Elder Wu Xiong, but another shop assistant. Yangshan knew this very well, so he just asked casually. He did not intend to know more details from Elder Wu's mouth. Unexpectedly, Elder Wu immediately took out another jade slip and handed it to Yangshan. That shop assistant is usually shrewd. This time, the guest's request was out of the blue, so he also paid attention. Elder Wu said with a smile. Although he did not ask for the details of the guest's identity, he left a portrait. Yangshan took the jade slip with some surprise. When he explored it with his divine sense, a vivid picture appeared in his sea of knowledge. A person stood there quietly. Although he was motionless, all the details of his body and face were very clear. Even a small wrinkle on his lapel and a little color change in his hair could be seen clearly. Seeing Yangshan's surprised expression, Elder Wu Xiong was also very proud and said with a smile, "This is the unique method of the first batch of monster race disciples who joined Wanbao Tower. They can record the scene they see vividly." Over the years, Wanbao Tower's news transmission is more detailed than some big sect. The operation of Wanbao Tower has been handed over to Elder Wu, and Yangshan did not care about it. Now it seems that Elder Wu Xiong really lived up to expectations and was even better than Senior Jiuxian. The friends of Lanning were also good. It was not in vain. Yangshan was not in vain in front of Lanning. He even brought the master of the Xintian sect to Lan. Thinking of this, Yang Chun naturally thought of Senior Jiuxian. At that time, Senior Jiuxian's qualifications were not very good. Even with Yang Chen's merit-refining body pill to change his physique, his previous cultivation was almost completely abolished. The speed of his rebirth was naturally not fast, and he has not yet ascended. It was estimated that after Senior Jiuxian ascended, with Elder Wu Xiong, Wanbao Tower would definitely become the strongest intelligence organization in the spiritual world. Thank you, Elder, for your hard work. Yang Chen's face was calm, and he treated this news as ordinary news. At least Elder Wu Xiong did not find any clues. He just thought that it was an ordinary message and did not take it seriously. It's on the way. There's no hard work. Elder Wu Xiong shook his hand and stood up with a chuckle. If there is nothing else, this old man will go back to Sunset Rock first. If you need anything, just find a disciple to pass the message to me. After sending off Elder Wu Xiong, Yang Chan sat quietly on the chair in the Dragon Palace room, and his face slowly became serious. The other party's purpose was very clear. That was to get Yang Chen's series of combination elixirs. Speaking of which, the two most special elixirs among Yang Chen's combination elixirs were the Essence Accumulation Pill and the Millennium Pill. Although it was called the Essence Accumulation Pill, it was not the ordinary Essence Accumulation Pill, but the Essence Accumulation Pill that could circulate spiritual power according to the most basic cultivation method. Compared with the ordinary Essence Accumulation Pill, it was undoubtedly a step further. The Millennium Pill was also different. It was compatible with the Essence Accumulation Pill. Yang Chen's Essence Accumulation Pill could only activate the spiritual power contained in this special Millennium Pill and nothing else. Even if the consumer's own spiritual power was not activated, it would be slowly refined and integrated by the flowing spiritual power. Of course, there was Yang Chen's unique technique and even some of the high-level goods in the Lao Jun Pill scripture. Not to mention the spiritual world. Even in the immortal world, there were not many powerful alchemists who could do it. The Lao Jun was the Lao Jun, and he was not comparable to ordinary immortals. Speaking of which, these guys were quite knowledgeable, and they saw the essence at once. But Yang Chun saw more, far more than what was shown on the surface. The main material of the Millennium Pill was the devilish bead. This kind of thing was rare outside, except for Yang Chen's hands. This was also the reason why none of the major sects asked for the pill recipe, even though they were very interested in Yang Chen's pill recipe. Of course, it was not ruled out that there were devilish beads left in the hands of the predecessors who had experienced in the demon continent over the years. Perhaps the major sects could get a lot of them by collecting them. But another problem, or huge trouble, was that there was demonic chi on the devilish beads. The best ordinary demon refiner could do was to purify the devilish bead to leave a little demonic chi, and Yang Chun was unique. These were all inferences, but there was one thing that Yang Chun could be sure of. In addition to these predecessors who had experienced in the demon continent before, there was also a big family that had a large number of devilish beads in their hands, and that was the Zhao family. The demon continent in the mortal world was simply run by the Zhao family, and they naturally would not lack things like devilish beads. Seeing that they could make such a large monster bee space exit in the spiritual world, one could know that they could make a space exit with demonic chi in the mortal world. If they wanted to, they could definitely make a bigger one. It could be said that they had as many devilish beads as they wanted. From this point of analysis, there was no doubt that the Zhao family was the one who did it. The portrait left by the guy in the Wanbao Tower was clearly a human cultivator. He didn't look like a demonic cultivator, but Yang Chun didn't have much impression. The other party's request was very simple. It seemed as if it was for the welfare of all the cultivators. Yang Chun didn't actually need to hand over the pill recipe to any place or to anyone. He just asked Yang Chun to make the pill recipe public. In this way, the other party would definitely be able to get the pill recipe, but Yang Chun would have nowhere to find it. This trick was very interesting. At least the major sect didn't ask for Yang Chen's pill recipe, but if Yang Chun made it public, they would definitely applaud and welcome it. There were no raw materials now. Maybe one day they could find a suitable substitute. Didn't Yang Chun recently find the substitute medicinal materials for the Yun Marrow pill and the questioning inner heart pill? The reason was the same. Chapter 1938. Using the lies of Mu Bo and Yi Yu to threaten Yang Chun. In fact, Yang Chun didn't care much. Since he had the perching soul jade, Yang Chun was not afraid that the enemy would threaten him with the lives of anyone around him. At most, it would take more time to recultivate. For the cultivators, it was almost a meaningless threat. In fact, this experience of taking a step on the line of death would allow the resurrected cultivators to gain more experience and comprehension. Their state of mind would also rise to a higher level. Yang Chun knew this, and the other party must also know this. Even if they didn't know anything else, they should know that Yang Chun was the largest supplier of perching soul jade in the entire spiritual world. In this case, the other party's plan was not to use the lives of Mu Bo and Yi Yu to threaten Yang Chun. Of course, the hostages seemed to be not only the two disciples of Yang Chun, but also the old tree demon Ho Yun, Lan Ying, Shi Kuei, and Xie Sha. The other party didn't want their lives, but used a special method to trap them. As long as the person didn't die, the perching soul jade that retained its original primordial spirit would not be activated, and the person would not be resurrected. This was the case with the fire dragon that Ao Lai took over. Although it had lost all active consciousness, it still retained a remnant dragon spirit, so it couldn't be resurrected. The other party's plan was to trap them in some way, or even go further, let Mu Bai and the others lose all their cultivation base but not die, and let them be consumed in this realm, living a life worse than death. They couldn't escape, they couldn't die, and they couldn't go anywhere else. For the powerful cultivators, it was indeed a punishment more cruel than death. The other party didn't dare to target the wives and concubines of Yang Chun. It could only be said that they were afraid of the sect behind Yang Chen's women. But now Yang Chen's disciples had no such scruples at all. Chunyang Palace had only been in the spiritual world for a few hundred years. Even if they had tens of thousands of disciples, they were just a nouveau riche at best. They didn't have the kind of foundation that could control the entire spiritual world. It had to be said that the other party's trick really made Yang Chun feel a little restrained. Yang Chun accepted these monstrous geniuses from his previous life as his disciples, not to let them rot in the spiritual world, but to let them be all-powerful in the immortal world. The energy and resources invested in each of these disciples were almost as much as each of Yang Chen's wives and concubines. Yang Chun must save them, but how to save them depended on the method. The trouble now was, first, they didn't know who the opponent was, and second, where Mu Bai and the others were trapped. It was not accurate to say that he did not know who the opponent was. He did not know which branch of the Zhao family did it. The Zhao family had always been hiding in the core area of the trial grounds. The true core members of the family would never expose themselves for such a trivial pill formula. It can only be said that some people in the periphery were tempted. The priority was not to discover the identity of these guys, but to find the whereabouts of Mu Bai and the others. Unfortunately, after arriving in the spiritual world, due to the spiritual pressure, the original method of leaving a natal spirit tablet in the sect could no longer be used. In such a huge spiritual world, it was almost impossible to find a few cultivators if they did not have a location clue set up in advance. It was even impossible to determine if they were dead or alive. Now Yang Chun could be sure that they were all alive, because there was no movement on the side of the dwelling divine jade, but their whereabouts were still confusing. This matter, Yang Chun did not intend to tell the sect for the time being, so Elder Wu Xiong did not know what happened from beginning to end. He only thought that it was an ordinary message. After pondering for a while, Yang Chun gave up thinking about the clues on Mu Bo and the others and called Hannah Mingyu out of the medicine garden. Hannah Mingyu's talent was to have a unique communication with plants and guide them to grow. In the mortal world, she formed a complementary relationship with Mu Bo. Mu Bo could recover quickly from all kinds of injuries. In addition to the strong medicinal pills left by Yang Chun, another important reason was Hannah Mingyu, his junior sister. Nethery, can you find the whereabouts of your senior brother? Hannah Mingyu was studying various plants with a Zhu and a Bai. Suddenly, she came to her master and heard Yang Chen's question. Master is looking for senior brother? Hannah Mengyu only had one senior brother. Mu Bo, hearing Yang Chen's question, Hannah Mengyu closed her eyes and felt it for a while. Then she opened her eyes and answered honestly, "The specific location is not clear. Now I only know the general direction. When the distance is close, I may be able to know where senior brother is." Listening to Hannah Mengyu's answer, a smile finally appeared on Yang Chen's face. His guess was right. Mu Bo and Hannah Mengyu had been companions for more than 1,000 years, and there was always a tacit understanding that others didn't know. Yang Chen didn't need Mu Bo's specific location now. As long as he knew the general direction and slowly looked for it, he believed that he would always be able to rush to the same location and let Hannah Mengyu detect Mu Bo's location. Okay, you cultivate with a Zhu and a Bai first. When you're needed, you will come out. Yang Chen nodded with satisfaction and sent Hannah Mengyu back to the medicine garden. He closed his eyes and began to ponder. After the construction of the Lingxiao treasure hall in his sea of consciousness, Yang Chen rarely got angry. Under normal circumstances, people would see a smiling and kind Yang Chen. Perhaps it was because of this that many people forgot that when Yang Chen first arrived in the spiritual world, he took the head of the palace and a dozen other people to wipe out the Qi-Men sect. Especially after the Bloody River was also separated from Yang Chen's sea of consciousness and sent to the second primordial spirit, people could hardly detect any dangerous aura from Yang Chen. Could it be that this gave some people the illusion that Yang Chen was easy to provoke? Perhaps he had not killed enough cultivators in the spiritual world, or many people misunderstood that he was just an alchemist master and treated him as a soft persimmon. Otherwise, how could anyone dare to make a move on the head of the Tai Sui? It was time to let everyone know how powerful he was. Otherwise, a cat or a dog might jump out and want to do something. It was time to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. He didn't know where this guy jumped out from and dared to make a move on his apprentice. He would just treat them as the damn chicken to warn the monkey. The time limit given by the other party was very loose, enough for Yang Chen to try various ways. It was estimated that they had absolute confidence in themselves and were not afraid that Yang Chen could break their game. Knowing that there were more than a dozen Xian Immortal Masters in Yang Chen's sect, knowing that there was a Xian Immortal Master around Yang Chen's wives and concubines, these people still dared to be so arrogant. The strength of the other party must not be weak. It seemed that Yang Chen needed to find some external help. Originally, when he went to kill people, Yang Chen would definitely call Old Tree Demon Ho Yun and the others. Unfortunately, this time, they also became the target of the siege. It was better to take his wives and concubines and go to the profound heaven sect on the way. The 36 Xian Immortal Masters who originally guarded sect Master Wang still owed Boss Yang Chen a favor. Chapter 1939. Yang Chen had already sent someone to inform his wives and concubines to wait for him in Chunyang Palace. As for Yang Chen himself, he changed his appearance and left Chunyang Palace. He rushed all the way in the direction Hannah Mengyu had pointed out. He had to determine who the real enemy was first. Otherwise, there might be some unpredictable consequences. Along the way, Yang Chen did not show his head. The mysterious sky-dark sea shuttle moved at a high speed underground. Every once in a while, Yang Chen would ask Hannah Mengyu to confirm that the direction was not wrong, and then continue to move forward. Even with the speed of the mysterious sky-dark sea shuttle, it took more than 4 months to reach the destination in the spiritual realm. It was not so accurate to say that it was the destination. It was because Hannah Mengyu could not accurately determine the direction for a while. When the distance was far enough, Hannah Mengyu could still find a faint trace of Mu Bo's aura in the general direction. However, when the distance was close enough, it seemed that the interference of the other party's array was very strong, and there was no way to accurately determine the location. However, what was certain was that Mu Bo and the others must be trapped in this area with a radius of 10,000 miles in front of them. This was enough for Yang Chen. Yang Chen did not show up. He just observed close to the ground, and then calculated the direction with the compass. He had a rough idea of where he was. This was not good. This was the edge of a super sect, which was what Yang Chen did not want to see the most. This should be near the territory of the Three River Alliance, a rogue cultivator alliance. It was so close to the Three River Alliance, and the other party could make such arrangements. Obviously, they had a close relationship with the Three River Alliance. With a super sect involved, the nature of the matter was another matter. Even if it was a demonic sect like Holocaust sect, everyone would think that a super sect would naturally stand on the opposite side of the Zhao family. Thus, Xintian's sect chose to trust them on some matters, even if the Holocaust sect master died mysteriously. On the surface, the super sect couldn't exclude any other sect of the same level. Otherwise, it would cause great internal strife. Now that there was a problem with the Three River Alliance, he didn't know if it was the same as the mysterious Heaven sect. Someone in the upper echelons of the alliance was a spy from the Zhao family. But if they didn't handle it well, they would offend a rogue cultivator alliance that was even more terrifying than the mysterious Heaven sect. Of course, it was also possible that the Three River Alliance didn't know anything. This place looked normal, and only Yang Chun and Hannah Mengyu could sense that something was wrong in some areas. But now, most of the cultivators were doing their best to kill the demonic beasts. Very few people would pay attention to what was happening here. What was even more amazing was that this area was occupied by demonic beasts not long ago and had only just been reclaimed. Because it was at the edge, the Three River Alliance disciples didn't pay much attention to it. Mu Bo and the others were most likely trapped here while they were killing demonic beasts. Just when Hannah Mengyu was blaming herself for not being able to find Mu Bo's whereabouts, Yang Chun suddenly found something else that surprised him. Yang Chun actually sensed Long Xian's location. Long Xian's merit steel carried all of Yang Chen's merit, so it was easy for Yang Chun to sense the aura of the merit steel. It was impossible for others to pick up Long Xian's merit steel, so Long Xian must be in this area. Moreover, the position of the merit steel didn't change for a long time, which meant that Long Xian didn't move. In other words, it was very likely that Long Xian was trapped together with Mu Bo and Ho Yun. This was easy to understand. Long Xian went out with Jing Hu and Fatty Jing, so it was normal for them to meet up with Ho Yun and the others. After realizing this, Yang Chun was even more assured about the safety of Mu Bo and the others. With Fatty Jing, a peak Heaven Immortal expert, holding the line, Mu Bo and the others would definitely not have any problems in a short period of time. Next, Yang Chun didn't immediately rush towards Long Xian's location. Instead, he turned around and returned to Chunyang Palace. After such a long time, Yang Chen's wives and concubines had already received the news. Most of them had rushed back to Chunyang Palace to wait. However, there were also exceptions. The 5 Murong sisters had just killed a lot of demonic beasts and gained some enlightenment. They were currently in closed-door cultivation in the sect and might only come out after a few years. The enemy really found a good time. They probably knew that the dragon puppet controlled by the Murong sisters couldn't be defeated, so they deliberately chose such a good time to deal with Yang Chun. The deadline given was only a mere 2 years. By the time they succeeded, the Murong sisters probably wouldn't have come out of closed-door cultivation. Naturally, it wouldn't affect their big plan. This could only mean that there were other spies in the Five Elements sect besides Yang Haoshuan and his father. In the Dragon Palace, Yang Chun didn't hide anything from his women. He directly told them what happened, and at the same time, he also showed the jade slip that the shop assistant left behind to the women. Husband, will Mu Bo and the others be in danger? Speaking of which, the women were Mu Bo and Yi Yu's wives. They had given them many pointers in the mortal world. Now that they heard these things, they couldn't help but be a little worried. Sun Qingxue was the first to ask. It's not life-threatening. At most, they'll suffer some hardships. Yang Chen shook his head and said, moreover, they all have life-saving methods. Unless the enemy sends a lot of experts, they won't be a problem in a short period of time. Husband, this guy is probably from the Tri-River Alliance. Just as Sun Qingxue finished asking, Shi Wushuang also received the jade slip and saw the appearance of the messenger. She blurted out, "Oh, how do you know?" Yang Chen was startled and then asked doubtfully. He didn't say that he had just returned from the Tri-River Alliance's territory. There was no hint at all. How could Shi Wushuang recognize that this person was from the Tri-River Alliance? In the corner of his exposed underwear, there's a special kind of silver thread from that side. Sure, Wushuang analyzed with certainty, that's something only the core disciples of the Tri-River Alliance can use. Outsiders can't even use it. The cloth woven with that kind of silver thread is a good material for making protective underwear. In the past, I knew a female cultivator from the Tri-River Alliance. She had seen underwear woven with this material. If Yang Chun was only suspicious at the beginning, then with Shi Wushuang's judgment, he could basically be sure that those people were from the Tri-River Alliance. There couldn't be such a coincidence. I also found the approximate whereabouts of Mu Bo and the others at the edge of the Tri-River Alliance's territory. Yang Chen nodded and gave Shi Wushuang an encouraging look. He then told her about his trip and concluded, "It seems that the other party is from the Tri-River Alliance. Let's find a few helpers and bring Mu Bo and the others back." Chapter 1940. The girls didn't know where Yang Chen's helper was, but they also understood that the major sect wanted the medicinal pills refined by Yang Chun, so they were willing to help Yang Chun. No one cared about this problem. Anyway, everything would be fine as long as Yang Chun came forward. As for the women, they were all preparing to cultivate in the Dragon Palace. Now that the mysterious sky Nether Sea shuttle was integrated with the Dragon Palace, the girls could enjoy this high-speed moving cave abode without coming out. Yang Chun was not polite at all. He went straight to the Xintian sect with several free Xian immortals from Chunyang Palace. Now, Yang Chun swaggered through the mysterious Heaven sect's gate. There were no longer any hostile gazes, which was very convenient. To the upper echelons of the mysterious Heaven sect, Yang Chun being able to strut in and out of the mysterious Heaven sect could be considered fulfilling Yang Chen's long-cherished wish all those years ago. They were also happy to see this happen. Anyway, with the excuse of asking for pills and saving Sect Master Wang's life, it was natural for Sect Master Li to personally come out to receive them, and no one would have any doubts. Yang Chen's trip was to find helpers, so he didn't hide anything from Sect Master Li. He directly told him about how Mu Bo, Yi Yu, and Ho Yun were kidnapped and then blackmailed Yang Chun. He also didn't hide his suspicions about the Three River Alliance. Three River Alliance. Oomph. Sect Master Li was no longer the elderly of the past. His every move was full of power. He snorted coldly and seemed to be very dissatisfied. The Zhao family's hands are getting longer and longer. Seeing that Yang Chun was still confused, Sect Master Li explained, "The sect of the Dao, Demon, and Demon sect is very strict, and it's not easy to infiltrate it completely. If the Zhao clan wants to control the sect, it would be the easiest for them to make a move on the Rogue Cultivator Alliance." As Sect Master Li said, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was originally a group for rogue cultivators to unite and not be bullied. There was no particularly strict organizational structure. As long as one was a rogue cultivator, it was easy to join after a little investigation. With the Zhao family's arrangements, it shouldn't be too difficult to control the Rogue Cultivator Alliance from the very beginning. Over the years, our sect has found out some things. Both the Three River Alliance and the Seven Seas Alliance are very suspicious. Sect Master Li then said, "Since this happened at the Three River Alliance's side, I think the Three River Alliance can't escape. It's very likely that the entire Three River Alliance, from top to bottom, is already a puppet of the Zhao family." This was what Yang Chun did not expect, but Yang Chun did not doubt Sect Master Li's words at all. Yang Chen's memories from his previous life did not contain these things. In his previous life, the Zhao family did not reveal themselves until he reached the immortal world. However, this did not mean that the Three River Alliance was wrongly accused. At least, Yang Chun was very clear that even with the Wanbao Tower's investigation, he was still a far cry from the Five Great Dao sect. The Five Great Sect's heritage, which had lasted for tens of thousands of years, was by no means weak. Maybe they had already set up many pawns in other sects. In the past 1,000 years, the Zhao family had frequently caused trouble, so it was not impossible to find these contents. Since we were going to make a move, it's best to solve it at once. Sect Master Li did not refuse Yang Chen's request to borrow experts. He waved his hand and said, "Bring the Big Dipper formation with you." In addition, simply unite the experts of several sects and completely eradicate the Three River Alliance. The sect master of the Mysterious Heaven sect was indeed the sect master of the Mysterious Heaven sect. His style was many times greater than that of Yang Chun, a disciple of the Chunyang Palace. When Yang Chun was still thinking about borrowing a few experts to rescue his disciple and friends, Sect Master Li was already thinking about uprooting the Three River Alliance. However, this kind of move was exactly what Yang Chun wanted. The harder the Mysterious Heaven sect attacked the Zhao family, the more the Zhao family would hate the Mysterious Heaven sect. Yang Chun couldn't wait for the two sects to fight immediately. After hurriedly thanking him, he took the 36 Mysterious Heaven sect Xian Immortal experts all the way to the Three River Alliance's territory that Hannah Mengyu found last time. Of course, Yang Chun couldn't fly at the same speed as he did at the beginning. Instead, he flew at the speed of an ordinary flying sword. The 36 experts concealed their auras and spread out hundreds of miles around Yang Chun. At the same time, they helped Yang Chun keep an eye on the surrounding movement. Yang Chun's whereabouts must have been watched by someone. However, less than 2 days after coming out of the Mysterious Heaven sect, there was no one around who dared to keep an eye on Yang Chun's whereabouts. All the people who tried to spy on Yang Chun were mercilessly caught by the 36 Xian Immortal experts. In the face of so many Xian Immortal experts, even if there were a few sporadic resistance, they were instantly sent to hell. Those who were unconvinced were killed on the spot without mercy. The Mysterious Heaven sect had always been overbearing. Not to mention, these 36 experts were the great elders who secretly protected the sect master in the past, so they were even more unscrupulous. Those fellows who were caught were directly killed by the small sects, and the disciples of the big sects who were obedient were thrown into some space cave residence and imprisoned first. Those who were disobedient were also killed. Why did they have so much to say? Those who were secretly watching Yang Chun's whereabouts quickly lost their target, Yang Chun. They could no longer find out where Yang Chun was. For a moment, some people couldn't help but feel irritated. However, for those who knew the inside story, this was nothing. Could hiding one's whereabouts solve the problem? As long as Yang Chun's disciples and friends were still in their hands, Yang Chun wouldn't be able to escape this inescapable net. As long as they held on to these hostages and waited for Yang Chun to announce the pill formula, it would be fine. In the blink of an eye, 10 months passed. There was less than half a year left before the deadline given to Yang Chun by the other party. Speaking of which, the other party was a bit arrogant. They were afraid that Yang Chun wouldn't believe them, so they even gave Yang Chun time to verify it. It was also because of the other party's arrogance that Yang Chun had the time to calmly make arrangements. It was probably in their wildest dreams that Yang Chun would find the place where they had trapped Mu Bo and the others so easily. In any case, they would not have expected that when they triumphantly waited for Yang Chun to yield, a big storm would appear above their heads, and how much of an uproar it would cause in the spiritual world. Husband, there is a maze here. In a place not far from Yang Chun's last exploration, Gong Sunling carefully pointed to an area to remind Yang Chun and the women. Yang Chun's family had once again rushed to the Three River Alliance. Yang Chun has basically determined the direction of Long Xin's location. The next step was to see how to save them. In the direction of advancement, Gong Sunling was the first to discover the formation arranged by the other party. In such a remote place, there was a maze with offensive and defensive functions, which clearly indicated that there was a problem here. Breaking the formation is not something that can be done overnight. Gong Sunling was the strongest in the formation among all of them. After careful analysis, she frowned and said, "Husband, what should we do? Follow me." Yang Chun stretched out his hand, and Tian shouted as the immortal beheading blade appeared in his hand, "Let's break in." Chapter 1941. Along with the immortal beheading saber, a black and inconspicuous ring appeared. It was held in Yang Chun's left hand. The women didn't hesitate. They all took out their flying sword. At the same time, they didn't forget to release the Xian immortal experts around them and got into an attacking stance. Seeing that the women were ready, Yang Chun waved his arm at the 36 Xian immortal experts of the mysterious heaven sect in the distance. Then, he raised his left hand high up, grabbed the ring, and swung it heavily towards the formation that he had already discovered. The 36 experts who had been paying attention to Yang Chun's gesture were already impatient. Seeing that Yang Chun had made a move, they immediately began to attack. Everyone's target was the same. All of them were attacking the formation. No matter what, they had to break this formation first before they could see the enemy. Boom! The attacks from both sides landed on the formation almost at the same time. The loud sound was deafening. The entire ground seemed to be heavily smashed by an invisible giant hammer from the sky, causing it to shake violently. The ground that originally looked flat suddenly became turbulent waves, rising and falling up and down. Countless huge ripples began to appear from the location where Yang Chun attacked, and then quickly spread to the surroundings. A destructive aura spread out along with the ripples on the ground. Everywhere it went, whether it was trees or stones, they were all blown to pieces by this strong aura. Countless smoke and dust suddenly rose from the ground, and along with this aura, everyone's vision was completely blocked. The people standing on the ground were shocked by this sudden and strong earthquake, and they almost fell to the ground. The women all had extremely strong cultivations. With a little force from their feet, they rose into the air and hovered in the air, watching the scene happen dumbfoundedly. Another equally loud sound occurred almost at the same time, but it sounded far away, at least dozens of miles away. Dozens of powerful auras soared into the sky and rushed forward quickly. The maze formation that Gong Sunling had discovered not long ago had already been shattered by this attack, and then disappeared without a trace. The surrounding scenery suddenly changed, and it seemed to be very different from before. At the place where Yang Chun had just smashed, a huge pit with a radius of several miles had appeared. The pit seemed to have been rammed by a huge mortar as it was tightly pressed. At first glance, the soft ground seemed to have turned into stone. The women knew that Yang Chun had restored his cultivation, and they also knew that Yang Chun must have undergone great changes compared to before, but no one had seen Yang Chun fight for so many years, so they did not know how strong Yang Chun was. The blow just now finally made the women understand how monstrous their husband was. It was just a blow from the edge of the formation, but the entire formation was smashed into smithereens. No matter how strong the formation was or how powerful its defensive capabilities were, the result was the same. Such an attack was just like how the experts of the Zhao family attacked the mountain protection formation of Chunyang Palace in the past. Under the attack of absolute strength, the mountain protection formation could not even withstand a single blow. The same was true for the formation here. It could not even withstand a single blow from Yang Chun. However, the 36 Heaven Spirit Realm experts of the mysterious Heaven sect also attacked with Yang Chun. The other movement, just now, was due to their contribution. Of course, the 36 mysterious immortal experts of the mysterious Heaven sect would not appear in the same place as Yang Chun, nor would they attack Yang Chun's side. They just attacked the place dozens of miles ahead with all their might. It was also a formation, but their attacks were obviously closer to the core. The attacks were launched almost at the same time, but they did not land at the same time. Yang Chun only smashed the ground under his feet, so his speed was naturally faster. The Heaven Spirit Realm experts attacked dozens of miles away, so their attacks were obviously a little behind. When the latter's attack landed, the formation had actually been smashed, and all the attacks fell on empty space. Without the formation to block, the movement became even louder. Of course, the mysterious immortal experts did not think that Yang Chun was so powerful. He was just a human immortal junior. Although he was good at alchemy, his attack power was obviously limited. The reason why there was such a big movement should be the effect of the mysterious immortal experts behind the women. They did not believe that the small circle in Yang Chun's hand could cause such a result, even if they were beaten to death. Since he had already made a move, he would not hold back. Yang Chun directly pointed in a direction and flew straight there. With Yang Chun as the guiding light, the 36 mysterious immortal experts also chose this direction. They flew far ahead, clearing the way while clearing the way. As Yangshan expected, there was indeed a group of enemies who besieged Mu Bo and the others in this formation. After they launched an offensive and spent a lot of effort to trap Mu Bo and the others in a certain formation, these people sent a companion who had almost never walked outside to send a message to the Wanbao Tower, and then to Yangshan. Next, they quietly waited here for the results to appear. The original plan was very good, but accidents happen one after another. First of all, they did not expect that there would be several unreasonably strong experts around Yang Chen's two apprentices, which made them lose a lot at the beginning. It was not surprising that Lan Ying and Mu Bo were together, but where did another peak Earth Immortal expert come from? He used a strange stone tablet as a magic weapon and was almost invincible. The other party's life source magic weapon was too strong. Several of his companions at the early Fairy Immortal stage and their life source flying sword could not compete with that stone tablet. Several of their life source magic weapons were smashed, and 6 or 7 of their Fairy Immortal companions were flattened. If it weren't for the stone tablet's slow speed, it was unknown how many casualties there would be. The biggest surprise was not this big man, but the other fat man. No one would have thought that the smiling, harmless fatty in the team, whose hands never left the delicacies and whose mouth kept moving, would actually be the biggest surprise. From the appearance, the fat man's cultivation level could not be seen at all, and the few human immortal level demon race next to him did not respect him very much. Looking at his unrestrained laughter, he should not be a powerful character. But when they made a move, they were horrified to find that this unremarkable fat man turned out to be a peak Fairy Immortal. With his fat body, even if he did not use a protective magic weapon, ordinary attacks could do nothing to him. When it came to killing people, it was simply a nightmare for his opponents. Lan Ying, together with the big man who wielded the stone tablet and the fat man, the three of them killed a profound immortal expert, 12 Fairy Immortal experts, and 21 Earth Immortal experts. This was not counting Ho Yun, the old tree demon, Shikue, Xie Sha, and the others. The 4 of them killed 40 to 50 people. Even all the people who made a move clearly knew that Mu Bo and Yi Yu, who had just ascended for a few years and had not adapted to the spiritual pressure, had joined forces to kill more than a dozen human immortal opponents. When they finally trapped this group of people with an array and counted them, the guy in charge almost wanted to cry, but had no tears. Chapter 1942. What was even more unfortunate was that after paying such a heavy price, they were only able to trap Mu Bo and the others with an array formation, making them unable to leave. They were far from being able to capture them alive. In particular, they did not obtain anything that could prove the identity of Mu Bo and the others. Such a kidnapping, if it was known to others, would probably make them laugh their heads off. This was also the reason why these guys gave Yangshan 2 years to verify that Mu Bo and the others had been successfully captured by them. They could not just tell Yangshan that his disciple was in their hands without any proof. Would Yangshan believe it? Without any proof, only a fool would believe it. Seeing their companions die, tragically, several of their companions almost couldn't help but want to kill Mu Bo and the others, but they had no choice but to forcibly hold back. If it were not for the strong pressure from above, Mu Bo and the others would have long been torn to pieces. Now they were still trapping Mu Bo and the others in order to force Yangshan to disclose the pill recipe. As long as the pill recipe was made public, Mu Bo and the others had killed so many of their companions, it would not be too much to deal with them by burning their bones and scattering their ashes. Wanting to get out alive in your dreams? However, when they thought of the divine perching jade, these angry guys felt a little helpless. Even if they killed them with the divine perching jade, they would immediately be resurrected. At most, in a few hundred years, they would be full of life again. Who told them to have a master with a large number of divine perching jade in his hands? Outside the array formation that was trapping them, there was another more powerful array formation. The outer array formation was very secretive, and the key point was that it was very tight. No aura would leak out, and no spiritual sense would be able to penetrate it. Even the outermost layer of this array formation was an illusion array. Not to mention spiritual sense exploration. Even if one stood close to this array formation, it would be impossible to discover the mystery inside. Outside of all these, there was a protective spirit array. The spirit array had a bewildering effect. It was set up in this not-so-prosperous place, so ordinary cultivators would not be able to discover the secret of this place. Even if an expert accidentally discovered this formation, the level of the formation itself would clearly remind the other party that this might be a place of hiding or sponsorship by an expert. If one did not want to cause any trouble, the best way to deal with it was to pretend that nothing had been discovered and leave. In fact, it wasn't that no one had discovered this formation in the past year or so, but they had basically used the same method to deal with it. They all pretended not to see it. Of course, there were also people who were more curious than their lives. But these people had completely disappeared from the spiritual realm. They either disappeared into the mouths of some demon beasts or rotted underground into a pile of dust. Close to the Three River Alliance, it was very easy to kill a few people who thought they were experts. Because they had already trapped Mubo and the others, there were only a few people left here. When they made their move, they had to capture them alive, so it was very difficult. Many experts had been dispatched, but there was no need to make such a big fuss. They just needed to ensure their safety. The leader was an early-stage Heaven Immortal expert, who was enough to control everything. Yang Chun had overcomplicated the problem. He thought that the other party must have set up layers of protection to guard against Yang Chen's counterattack. He did not expect that the other party had never thought that Yang Chen would come to them. Even so, the huge commotion just now had given the few experts guarding here a big fright. The outer protective spirit array was comparable to the mountain guarding array of a first-rate sect. Although it did not have the endless support of the underground spiritual vein, it could still withstand a certain degree of attack. But now it could not even withstand a single blow and shattered instantly. The joint attack of the 36 Xian Immortal experts was even more shocking. The attack of the Heaven Dipper experts was too coincidental. It directly fell near the few experts guarding here. Although it was said to be near, it was at least a few miles away. But the huge attack power and range of the attack still enveloped everyone. Two human immortal experts with a lower cultivation level spat out blood on the spot and were sent flying far away. Who is it? The leader of the Heaven Immortal experts shouted in the direction of the attack. How dare you cause trouble in the territory of Tri-River Alliance? Do you want to die? As soon as he said that, a few whooshing sounds were heard. Everyone's vision blurred, and then dozens of figures appeared around them. Each of them released their aura and stared at everyone present. With dozens of Xian Immortal experts staring at them, even someone as arrogant as A.O. Lai would break out in cold sweat in such a situation, let alone a few puny Earth Immortals and Heaven Immortals. As for the two human immortals who were seriously injured and vomiting blood, they immediately fainted from the combined aura. At this time, fainting was far better than being awake. The leader of the Xian Immortal experts glanced coldly at the situation and made a decision. Leave the two of them and wait for Grandmaster Yang to come. Chi. A few people who were surrounded didn't even understand what was going on before their throats were pierced by flying swords. Dark red blood mixed with foam spurted out crazily, taking away one life after another. Of the two left, one was the early Heaven Immortal who was in charge of commanding the scene, and the other was also a Heaven Immortal, but his cultivation level seemed to be lower than the first. Although they were the weakest Heaven Immortals, they were the ones with the highest cultivation level among the people who stayed behind. Yang Chun still needed to save his disciple and friend, so he obviously had to leave some alive. But since the two of them had the highest cultivation level, they should know the most, so the rest were useless. Yang Chun did not let everyone wait for a long time. Just a moment of effort, a group of people flew over from there. Although the remaining two Celestial Immortal experts had never seen Yang Chun, they saw a group of beautiful women following behind Yang Chun, plus a few Xian Immortal level demon race experts. Combined with the words Grandmaster Yang mentioned by the Xian Immortal expert just now, the two of them also knew the identity of the people who came over. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that almost every one of these women had a Xian Immortal expert of the demon race beside them proved their identity. Their target was Yang Chun. So how could they not pay attention to this? Other than Grandmaster Yang Chun, who else would be so generous to assign a Xian Immortal level bodyguard to each of his women? But when they saw the dozens of Xian Immortal experts around them, the two Heaven Immortals felt chills all over their bodies. Didn't Chunyang Palace only have a dozen Xian Immortal experts? Where did these terrifying people come from? And how did Yang Chen find them? Are you not giving face to the Three River Alliance by making a move here? This was the kind of superficial calmness that the fear had reached the extreme. Before Yang Chen could speak, the leading Heaven Immortal expert had already questioned. Chapter 1943. When did the Three River Alliance give me any face? Yang Chen's voice sounded calmer than the Sky Immortal expert. He didn't put the threat of the Three River Alliance in his eyes at all. Both of their voices seemed so calm, but the inner fear of the Sky Immortal experts couldn't be concealed. If outsiders saw this scene, they would be very surprised. How could a Sky Immortal expert be in such a sorry state when facing a worldly Immortal Junior? Staring at the guilty Sky Immortal expert, Yang Chen couldn't stand it anymore and lowered his head. Yang Chen then said, "A straightforward person doesn't beat around the bush. I'm sure you know why I'm here. Where are my disciples? Let them out, and I'll give you a quick death." The two Sky Immortal experts looked at each other and saw the despair in each other's eyes. They really couldn't understand. Their own formation was so tightly blocked. How could Yang Chen come to their door so accurately? Since Yang Chen said so, they were standing on the opposite side. It was impossible to get away by denying it. However, it was also impossible for them to let them go just like that. Although the two of them were in charge of the formation, they could only control the few formations on the outside. The trap formation at the core was set up by the two Xian Immortal experts of the Three River Alliance. They were never told how to break the formation from the beginning. Moreover, the two were very clear that the reason why they kept the lives of the two of them, in addition to having something to ask, another important reason was that they knew that they still controlled the lives of Yang Chen and their disciples. Once Yang Chen knew that they were no longer of any use, they would immediately follow in the footsteps of their companions. The dozens of Xian Immortal experts around them weren't easy to deal with. They attacked without any mercy. Thinking about how their companions were still chatting and had their throats slit in the blink of an eye, the two Sky Immortal experts didn't think that it would be difficult for these people to kill them. The two Heaven Immortals clearly swallowed a mouthful of saliva, but no words came out of their mouths. Their faces were instantly covered with cold sweat. The experts from the mysterious Heaven sect were able to immediately see through these two people's actions. How could they not understand the awkwardness between the two of them? Before Yang Chen could say anything, the leading Xian Immortal said with a sinister smile, "Looks like the two of them are useless. There's no hurry, Senior." Yang Chen was very respectful towards these abstruse Immortal experts. He advised gently, "Leave them. Let them inform the people who set up the formation. If the array could trap an expert like Fatty Jing, it must not be simple." It was not that Yang Chen could not break the array by force, but he was still afraid of hurting the people inside. It would be perfect if they could catch the guy who set up the formation. It would be best if they were willing to let him go. With such a big commotion, I believe there will be people coming to take a look even if they don't send a letter. The leading elder chuckled a few times, but he did not completely reject Yang Chen's opinion. He still let the two people live. However, these two guys did not receive any good treatment. They were directly sealed and then thrown into the Mountain River geographical map by Gong Sunling. After entering the Mountain River geographical map, unless they were much stronger than Gong Sunling, they would not be able to control themselves. These abstruse Immortal experts from the mysterious Heaven sect seemed to understand their position very well. They came to help in order to repay Yang Chen's favor, so the decision made by Yang Chen, they would not be a noisy guest. In essence, their performance was very qualified to be called a competent thug. Yang Chen was also very satisfied with the performance of these experts. They were decisive in killing, but they did not overpower the host. If there was such a chance in the future, he would find them again. Just as the elder said, with such a big commotion, The aura of 36 abstruse immortal experts erupted unscrupulously. Even thousands of miles away, many people could clearly feel it. Inside the Three River Alliance, the faces of the few core executives suddenly changed. They knew better than anyone what was set up in that direction. With such a sudden accident, could it be that there was an accident in the arrangement over there? Dealing with Yangchun could be done unscrupulously on the basis that others did not know, but once it was exposed, the Three River Alliance could not bear a little bit of pressure. This time, Yangchun agreed to many super sects' requests for pills. This was not a small favor. Even if the Three River Alliance was also a super sect, it would not be able to bear the combined pressure of other sects. The Alliance leader's face was also not good, but he was still calculating what kind of combat power the eruption of aura over there represented. After pondering for a while, he decisively ordered, "Elder Son, bring all the experts from the Clear Sky Pavilion and see what happened." After a slight hesitation, the Alliance leader gritted his teeth and said, "If it's that matter that caused trouble, clean up everything as soon as possible." After instructing Elder Son, the leader immediately told another elder, "Elder Zhang, wait for Elder Son to solve the problem over there. You will personally go to the Pure Yang Palace and say that the body of their disciple was found, and the others will not be explained." A series of orders were issued. It was about how to destroy the evidence, how to deal with the outside world, and how to get rid of the Three River Alliance. To be able to make such a comprehensive plan in such a short time, it must be said that the Alliance leader was really meticulous. The Clear Sky Pavilion was the place where the experts of the Three River Alliance lived. There were hundreds of abstruse immortal experts inside. Just now, the Alliance leader roughly estimated the aura of the experts over there. There were at least 30 of them. He was afraid that only by using the advantage of numbers could they solve the problem over there in a short time. The Alliance leader already had a bad feeling in his heart. If he knew that Yangchun could easily find Mu Bo and the others, if he knew that Yangchun could gather so many experts, he wouldn't have agreed to the idea of attacking Yang Chen's disciple no matter what. But everyone knew the value of the pill recipe in Yang Chen's hands, especially when they had a large number of demonic beads. The Alliance leader also couldn't resist the temptation of the bright future, so he agreed to this plan. But now it seemed that the loss outweighed the gain. If he had known earlier, now was not the time to regret. Since he had already made the decision at that time, he had to pay the price for that decision now. The Alliance leader wasn't the kind of person who would easily feel sorry for himself. Since the matter had already happened, the only solution was to solve the problem. As for regret, that was something that would happen after the problem was solved. The most important thing now was to get rid of all those abstruse immortal experts. Chapter 1944. In fact, it was also the leader himself who was a little guilty. As long as he calmed down and ignored it, this matter may not involve the Three River Alliance. No matter what was found over there, as long as the Three River Alliance said that they didn't know. Anyway, the Three River Alliance had just recovered their own territory, and it was inevitable that some things were not taken care of well. However, sending people to annihilate the evidence was exactly what some people wanted. Somewhere along the way that the Three River Alliance had to pass, Sect Master Li of the Profound Heaven Sect was sitting together with Sect Master Chui of the Five Elements Sect and several Sect Masters of the Blue Cloud Sect of the Green Jade Immortal Island. Not far away were two groups of people from the monster race and the demon sections. They were not the sect masters of the various sects, but they were also at the level of a great elder. Everyone gathered together like a small gathering in the autumn, sitting and drinking tea, drinking wine, and seemed to be waiting for something. Even if there is a big movement, it is so far away, and it doesn't affect the Three River Alliance. A white light flew into the hands of Sect Master Li. After Sect Master Li scanned with his spiritual awareness, he said faintly, "It is normal for the Three River Alliance to send a few people over to see. This is their territory, and they always need to know what happened. But if a large number of masters are sent over, it is obviously not to check." As he spoke, Sect Master Li also toasted a glass of wine to the several sect masters around him. Everyone gave him face and drained their cups in one gulp. During this period, various colors of light flew over and fell into the hands of the various sect members. These were all messages sent by the sect spies in the Three River Alliance. Sect Masterly was now really proud of himself. He had made great achievements in the sect, and it was only a few days since he succeeded as the sect master, and there was such a great merit sent to him again. This was not a matter within the sect, but a matter related to all the cultivators in the spiritual world. Such an opportunity to earn face seemed to be related to Yang Chun. The Zhao family actually controlled the entire Three River Alliance. After this matter was sent to the sect masters of other sect, all the sect masters were shocked. Seeing the evidence sent by Sect Master Li, plus their own investigation results, plus the matter of Yang Chun, the sect did not take long to unify their thoughts. The Three River Alliance could no longer stay. If the Zhao family stood in the open and really built itself into a super sect, perhaps the other sects would not be so resistant. However, an enemy who hid in the dark and wanted to occupy or even destroy the foundation that had been passed down from generations of ancestors was something that everyone had no choice but to be hostile towards. Not long ago, the Mystic Heaven sect had informed the higher-ups that the Zhao family might be hiding in the core of the trial grounds. If the Three River Alliance knew about it, it meant that the Zhao family also knew about it. In the future, they wouldn't even have the chance to launch a surprise attack. If one were to add in the past contact with the Three River Alliance, who knew how many losses they had suffered in the open and in the dark. Over here, the various grandmasters were already fully prepared. Once Yang Chun made his move, they would immediately follow up. Now it seemed that the Three River Alliance had fallen into their trap. They had actually sent out a Grand Elder and all the experts of Skysplit Pavilion, such a powerful lineup. Within the Three River Alliance, the strongest experts were in the Tong Sky Pavilion. It could be said that the Tong Sky Pavilion represented at least a third of the Three River Alliance's strength. If they could take down the experts of the Tong Sky Pavilion in one fell swoop, then the Three River Alliance's top combat power would be reduced by half, especially since they were outside the Three River Alliance and not within the mountain guarding formation. This was a rare opportunity. With careful preparation and the element of surprise, even two Pavilion of Clear Sky would be wiped out. This time, the Three River Alliance did not expect that a mere Yang Chun would cause such a big problem. The Grand Elder hurriedly brought his people to Yang Chen's side. Two of the experts had already confirmed that the formation that trapped Mu Bo's group was safe and sound. It had not been broken by brute force. It was probably because the other side was worried about the safety of the people trapped in the formation. Perhaps their hesitation was the reason why they lost their lives. Everyone thought that it was just a small matter. Over 100 people going over to launch a surprise attack on over 30 Xian Immortal experts should be a piece of cake. In order to create an unexpected effect, after leaving the Three River Alliance, only 3 people appeared, the Grand Elder and the other 2 experts who set up the formation. The formation over there was set up by these 2 experts. Once they arrived, they could activate the formation to attack at any time. The other 100 people were all hidden in the cave that the Grand Elder carried with him. When they suddenly appeared, no matter who the opponent was, they would still be ambushed. Just as they were flying halfway, 2 unfamiliar Xian Immortal experts suddenly appear in front of them, flying at high speed and brushing past them. The spiritual world was too big. There were trillions of cultivators. It was normal for 1 or 2 unfamiliar experts to appear, so no one took it seriously. Just as the 2 experts brushed past the Grand Elder, another 2 Xian Immortal experts appeared in front of the Grand Elder. There were also unfamiliar faces that no one had seen before. They looked like they were in a hurry. The Grand Elder and the 2 experts didn't mind. This place had just been reclaimed not long ago. Experts who were training here would sometimes rush to the newly open market of the Three River Alliance to trade for magic treasures. It was very normal. Just as the 3 of them were about to ignore them, something strange happened. Hundreds of Xian Immortal experts instantly filled the sky, surrounding the 3 people tightly. Powerful attacks suddenly appeared, all targeting the 3 experts of the Three River Alliance in the circle. In a flash, the Grand Elder of the Three River Alliance already saw a few familiar figures. They were all famous Xian Immortal experts from the big sect. At this moment, how could he not understand what had happened? Under his great shock, he didn't panic, and with a command in his mind, over 100 experts of the Sky-Split Pavilion swiftly appeared within the encirclement and directly moved to intercept these mysterious Immortal Realm experts. Boom! The first collision between the offensive and defensive magic treasures from both sides caused a huge commotion. Everything within a radius of hundreds of miles was directly turned into dust. The smoke and dust covered the sky, and nothing else could be seen. In this crazy area, countless magic treasures were rampaging about, and the violent movements came wave after wave, even linking up to form a whole. The aura released by the experts was enough to make the boldest guy in the spiritual world retreat from thousands of miles away. Yang Chun, his wives and concubines, and the Heaven Star Border experts naturally felt the commotion over there. The Grand Elder stared in that direction and shook his head with a sigh. Sigh, what a big show. It's a pity I couldn't make it. There's no hurry, Senior. Yang Chun looked in that direction and said with a smile, the Three River Alliance won't fall so easily. Otherwise, sect leader Li and the others wouldn't be able to come up with these strategies. After we're done here, we can go over and pick up some benefits. Chapter 1945. As Yang Chan said, although the Sanjiang Alliance did not occupy the first place like the mysterious Heaven sect, it was also a super sect that ranked in the top 10 in the spiritual realm. It was by no means comparable to a small sect. In the past, Yang Chun could easily destroy the entire Chiman sect, but it was impossible for the Sanjiang Alliance. Even the battle that destroyed the Taishaman in the mortal world could not be compared with the annihilation of the Sanjiang Alliance in the spiritual realm. In addition to the differences in strength, territory, and the number of masters, the most important thing was that the Taishaman in the mortal world were the leaders of the Dao sects. Even if all the other super sect gathered together, they still did not dare to raid the Taishaman without warning. Instead, they collectively came to the door to ask the Taishaman to give an explanation. Later, they were really dragged down by Yang Lan. So all parties besieged the Taishaman, and they did not dare to take the initiative to fight. It couldn't be helped. The Taishaman were above the mysterious Heaven sect, and the mysterious Heaven sect was the super sect that controlled the heavenly court in the immortal world. But now it was different. It was the mysterious Heaven sect that initiated the annihilation of the Sanjiang Alliance. The momentum alone was completely different. What's more, the combined evidence against the Sanjiang Alliance had clearly shown that the Sanjiang Alliance had been controlled by the Zhao family and had become the Zhao family's lackey. All the previous cooperation was just to confuse everyone. The starting point was different, the initiators were different, and the target was different, which led to this completely different result. In this regard, Yang Chun was also a little speechless. He deliberately wanted to target the Taishaman and created such conditions so that the major sect did not dare to carry out a thunderous strike, even if the universe everlasting spirit suppressing formation had already drained all the spiritual power in the world. Now the mysterious Heaven sect was the first to target another super sect. The Sanjiang Alliance was so determined. The surprise attack was not only on the way to besiege the reinforcement, not only against the masters of the Tongtian Pavilion, but also the current mountain gate of the Sanjiang Alliance. The old territory of the Three River Alliance had just been taken back from the demon beasts a few decades ago. At most, they had cleared away the original ruins, rebuilt the houses and courtyards, and built basic things such as the mountain defense array. If one were to compare it to the previously impregnable mountain gate, then it was far from being comparable. Of course, there was a 99% chance that the Three River Alliance had a cave dwelling that could be carried by the higher-ups as the core mountain gate. However, when faced with a large number of experts, unless everyone in the Three River Alliance turned tail and ran, they would have to fight with all their might. At the same time, thousands of Xian Immortal experts appeared at the Three River Alliance's mountain gate, launching fierce attacks at the Three River Alliance from all directions. The Tri-River Alliance's defensive formation was instantly shattered into pieces. A few experts who were extremely skilled in formations seemed to have already set up an ambush around them. As soon as one side made a move, the other side immediately launched a clean and neat attack. Other than 3 or 4 formation experts who sensed something was wrong and escaped, the other dozens of formation experts were all stabbed to death. All the major sect had already set up an unknown number of informants in other sect. Now that all the sect's informants suddenly launched an attack, the Three River Alliance was caught off guard and suffered heavy casualties. Without this group of formation experts, it was basically impossible to rebuild a defensive line based on formations in a short period of time. Behind the thousands of Xian Immortal experts were more than 20,000 Heaven Immortal experts, surging into the Three River Alliance's mountain gate like a tidal wave. In just a moment, the mountain gate of the Three River Alliance had turned into a huge battlefield. All of the experts who took action carried a token that had been refined. It emitted a very distinct and unique aura that allowed people on their side to clearly know who was an enemy and who was a friend so that they wouldn't be confused. It was undeniable that the Three River Alliance had also set up informants in other sect. Unfortunately, all the experts were hidden in their cave dwellings and were brought here by others. They had no idea who they were targeting. Even if they immediately noticed that they were attacking the Three River Alliance, it was too late to notify them. Even if these spies betrayed them on the spot and secretly killed their own people, with so many experts present, they would be discovered as soon as they made a move. Then, they would be mercilessly beheaded without exception. A radius of thousands of miles had turned into a huge battlefield. All kinds of spiritual energy erupted one after another. There was no place in this huge area that was unscathed. Everything was shaken into powder by all kinds of attacks. Yang Chun and the others stared in this direction. Feeling such a huge aura, everyone couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Perhaps this was the most powerful battle after the demonic calamity in the spirit realm. No, we have to let Mubo and the others out and let them see. After staring for a while, Yang Chun suddenly thought of his disciples and friends and immediately said, "If we miss this opportunity, it will be hard to encounter it again in thousands of years." Everyone nodded repeatedly. No one refuted Yang Chen's statement. Even the profound Heaven Sect's Grand Elder thought so. "Aren't you afraid of hurting them by breaking the formation?" The Grand Elder asked casually. Owing a favor to Yang Chun was owing a favor to Yang Chun. It didn't mean that they had to pay attention to Yang Chen's disciples. This question was just like that. They didn't care whether Yang Chun made a move or not. "I'll have to trouble seniors." Yang Chun was not polite and directly made a request to these profound immortal experts. "Seniors, you just need to move and dig up the entire ground with the formation." Breaking the formation on the spot was of course a problem, but wasn't Gong Sumling there? No matter how powerful the formation was, it still had a range. What Yang Chun had to do now was to let these profound immortal experts dig up the entire formation and then send it to the Mountain River geographical map. As long as it was in the Mountain River geographical map, no matter how powerful the formation was, it wouldn't be able to compete with the magic treasure left behind by the Dragon Clan. Gong Sunling could slowly refine this piece of land and fuse with the formation on it. It would be easy to let Mu Bo and the others out. The Grand Elder glanced at Yang Chun and then at Gong Sunling, but he didn't say much. He directly waved his hand, and the 36 profound immortal experts immediately began to move. There was no doubt that Gong Sunling was an expert in formations. The experts of the profound Heaven Sect also knew that. They probably wanted Gong Sunling to use some unique method. Since it was Yang Chen's request, they just had to do it. Anyway, after this trip, they wouldn't have to owe Yang Chun a favor anymore. This simple matter was as easy as lifting a finger. In just a moment, the huge piece of land had been dug out, and the formation inside had not been touched at all. Chapter 1946. The 36 Celestial Dipper Realm experts, led by the Great Elder, looked curiously at Gong Sunling to see how she planned to break the array. Even Yang Chen's other wives and concubines were equally curious. Gong Sunling did not say anything else. She took a few steps forward, stretched out her hand, and spread her sleeves. The fragrant sleeves just swayed on the edge of the huge piece of land, and everyone lost sight of that piece of land. Yang Chen's wives and concubines were not surprised by this, but the Great Elder and the others were a little surprised, but they quickly calmed down. Based on their experience, they had seen all kinds of strange things. It was clear that there was something similar to a cave abode magic treasure that had absorbed the huge piece of land that had been dug out along with the formation. It was not worth making a fuss about. "Husband, what should I do?" After Gong Sunling put the array into the mountain river geographical map, she immediately asked Yang Chun, "I'll go in and tell you what to do." Yang Chun rushed to the great elder's side to apologize. He disappeared in place and entered the mountain river geographical map. Everyone was looking at the movements of the Three River Alliance over there, but no one cared about how to break a small array. Anyway, as long as it was an array, there was always a way to break it. It was nothing more than spending some time and energy. If it was according to the idea of the Great Elder and the others, it was simple and clear to directly attack. There really were not many arrays in this world that could withstand their joint attack. After entering the mountain river geographical map, Yang Chun directly appeared at the edge of the array. Gong Sunling also appeared beside Yang Chun. With a smile on her face, she said, "Husband, you don't want people to see how to break the array, but you let me take the blame. You are my wife. Isn't it right to take the blame for my husband?" Yang Chun reached out and hugged Gong Sunling's slender waist, smiled, and kissed her on the face, then said, "This is a rare opportunity. If these guys miss it, they will probably regret it for the rest of their lives. It's better to let them out." With that said, Yang Chun stretched out his hand, and the beheading Immortal saber appeared. He rushed to the edge of the array formation in front of him and stabbed the saber into it. The Immortal beheading blade has been integrated with the core of the demon continent in the mortal world, and the tip of the blade already has the ability to break through space. Back then, he had pierced through the Zhao family's demon sealing array and injured Long Xian. Only then did Long Xian believe that Yang Chun could break the array. Now, in the face of this encirclement array, the Immortal beheading saber did not encounter any difficulty. The saber easily pierced into the array. The beheading Immortal saber suddenly lengthened to a length of several miles. After it pierced into the formation, it drew a long horizontal line on the ground. Yang Chun slashed in another direction along the edge of the formation before withdrawing the beheading Immortal saber. With just these two moves, a gap immediately appeared in the originally watertight formation. Yang Chun instantly sensed the aura of the people inside. Mu Bo, Yiyu, Long Xianjing, Ho Yun, Old Tree Demon, Shi Kuei, Xie Sha, and Lan Ning. All of them were inside. The people in the formation have thought of many ways and tried many times, but they couldn't break the formation outside. The only good thing was that although this formation was strong, it had no lethality. It seemed to be used to trap them. If not for this, everyone probably didn't know what to do with it. During this period of time, no matter who it was, no matter what magic weapon they used, they couldn't break this formation at all. Even if Long Xian used the Merit Monument to smash it, he could make some potholes at first, but in the blink of an eye, the potholes became as good as new. The speed of Long Xian's smashing could not keep up with the speed of the recovery of the formation. Even if everyone worked together, it would not help. Mu Bo was very assertive. He knew that there must be a purpose outside in such a situation, so he told everyone to be patient and cultivate quietly. For the time being, don't blindly break the formation, but divide into various directions to study the formation bit by bit. After studying for more than a year, there was no progress at all. Everyone was a little bit at a loss. This formation was too abnormal. Several Xian Immortal Masters worked together to arrange it. There was no real formation cultivator among them. It seemed that they could only wait for the people outside to find a way. Just when everyone could only patiently cultivate while waiting, a strange movement attracted everyone's attention. In the formation space where everyone was located, a long blade suddenly appeared. All of it was a few miles long. Once, then again, and then disappeared. This is Master's beheading Immortal blade. Yiyu's eyes were sharp, and he instantly recognized the shape of the blade and cried out with joy. With Yiyu's cry, a familiar spiritual awareness swept over everyone and quickly retracted. Then everyone immediately discovered that the spiritual awareness that couldn't be explored at all before could now be easily explored outside the formation. Its master and Master Gongsuin's wife. Mubo immediately found the figure outside. "All right, there's a big show to watch. Hurry up and come out." Yang Chun snorted coldly outside and shouted inside. "It's a big show that might not be seen in 10,000 years. Xiantian sect is leading the way, and a group of super sect is destroying the Tri-River Alliance. If you don't want to watch, stay inside." These guys in the formation, all of them were lawless masters. When they heard such a lively scene, how could they bear it? They immediately drilled out along the place where Yang Chen's blade had just been chopped. Where? Where? Fatty Jing's voice was the loudest, and he shouted the loudest. As soon as he came out, he looked around, waiting to watch the show. "You guys stay here and watch. Don't run around," Yang Chun ordered, then disappeared with Gong Sunling in his arms. Gong Sunling didn't say a word, except for Fatty Jing, who didn't care about anything just now. The others all had a guilty look on their faces. If they stayed at this time, they would embarrass everyone in vain. It was better to go outside. Anyway, in a mountain river geographical map, if Gong Sunling wanted them to see the situation outside, it was just a matter of thinking. Since Yang Chun didn't let them go out, he definitely didn't want the masters of Xiantian's sect to know that Yang Chun had broken the formation in an instant. After Gong Sunling and Yang Chun went out, they didn't say a word of nonsense. They just stood there and observed. No one said much, even the Great Elder and the others. Coming out so quickly, it was definitely impossible to have released the people, but to find a breakthrough point to refine them at any time. It would take a certain amount of time to break the formation, so it was not unusual. After a while, the battle outside became more and more intense. Even if the most recent battle took place thousands of miles away, the power of those Xian immortal masters fighting with all their might still spread from afar. Even though they were so far away, everyone was secretly shocked when they felt that aura. The people in a mountain river geographical map were even more dumbfounded. If they missed such a battle, they would really regret it for the rest of their lives. Chapter 1947. Thousands of Xian immortal masters and tens of thousands of celestial immortal masters were fighting. It was estimated that 80% of the Xian immortal and celestial immortal masters in the entire spiritual world were gathered here. Such a big scene, it was estimated that only the core of the trial ground would have so many masters gathered here. Within a radius of thousands of miles, it had completely turned into a chaotic battlefield. Magic weapons flew everywhere. Tyrannical spiritual awareness swept over and over, countless spiritual power like plowing the ground of the entire area. Whether it was the houses or the arrays, even the stones, they had completely disappeared and turned into a large pile of the finest powder. There were a few mountains that were not too high in the original field of vision, but now there was no shadow at all. The whole thing was flattened. The sound could no longer be heard, and the naked eye could not see clearly. If you want to know what happened, you can only use your spiritual awareness to explore. Everyone present could release their spiritual awareness to thousands of miles away. Anyway, it was just to explore the situation over there. It was not a targeted attack. Everyone was unscrupulous. In such a situation, in the scene of tens of thousands of people fighting, suddenly there were dozens of spiritual awareness. It was simply insignificant. Even if there was a hint of provocation, no one would pay attention to it. The enemy in front of them had not been eliminated, so why should they care about the unfriendly people far away? The spiritual awareness of the women had reached the Xian immortal level, so how could the Great Elder, who was close to them, not feel it? Seeing this situation, the Great Elder was also taken aback on the spot. He thought that Tao Junkie's spiritual awareness cultivation was outstanding because of various reasons, but he didn't expect that the women around Yang Chun were all like this. Relatively speaking, Yang Chun's performance was a bit mediocre. At least Yang Chun did not release the Xian immortal level spiritual awareness on the spot to explore. Since the construction of the Lingxiao treasure palace in his sea of consciousness, Yang Chun released his spiritual awareness threads, which seemed to be more slender and tenacious than before. In the past, few people could detect the spiritual awareness threads of the three purities secret art, but now it was even more hidden. Even the great elder, standing next to him, did not find the miracle of Yang Chen's spiritual awareness. Countless strands of divine sense spread out in all directions and entered the territory of the Three River Alliance. Everything that happened in the area seemed to be right in front of his eyes, vivid in his mind. Not only did Yang Chen see a group of experts killing the experts of Tong Tian Pavilion, but he also saw the chaotic battles happening all over the Three River Alliance. He even saw two secret locations. The one closest to this place was not far from the battlefield of the sky-reaching pavilion's experts. A very high-level array formation should have been arranged there. At least when ordinary spiritual consciousness swept over it, it would not be able to find anything. However, Yang Chen's spiritual consciousness threads were more special. Penetrating it carefully, he quickly discovered the situation inside. It turned out that the sect leaders of the major sect had gathered here to watch the battle. In other words, he was here to command and supervise the battle. Annihilating the Tri-River Alliance was such a big thing that all the sect masters had to show up. Otherwise, with so many super experts, just coordinating would be a big problem. Yang Chen knew almost all the people inside. The reason why he said almost knew them was because there were two among them that Yang Chen had not seen before. To be honest, Yang Chen had seen all the sect leaders of the major sect before. Moreover, it was a face-to-face meeting. Therefore, suddenly seeing two unfamiliar people in the sect leader group, Yang Chen would naturally feel a little strange. However, thinking about it, these two should also be the core figures of their respective sect, otherwise they would not be qualified to enter this group. However, what made Yang Chen feel strange was annihilating the Tri-River Alliance was such a big thing. How could there be sect leaders who did not appear? What kind of big thing could make them so busy that they did not even participate in such a scene? It must be known that this time, those who did not personally participate in the event would definitely be faintly excluded from the big circle of people who were present after the event. The other place that could not be directly explored by divine sense was very far away, in the core area of the Three River Alliance. Because the distance was too far, even if it was Yang Chen, he could only find this place, but could not go further to see what was inside. This was a very normal thing. The Tri-River Alliance was such a big sect, it was not known how many tens of thousands of years, or even longer of development. If there was a secret place in the mountain gate of the sect that outsiders did not know, it would be too unreasonable. It was normal to have such a place. The battle was very fierce. Everyone was watching from the side, the surrounding was very quiet, and there was no fire of war. Mu Bo and the others did not need to come out of the mountain river geographical map, nor did they need to explore with divine sense. As long as Gong Sunling could explore with divine sense, she could simulate everything in the mountain river geographical map. Mu Bo and the others stayed in the mountain river geographical map and did not have to worry about being discovered by the Great Elder. It must be said that the Battle of Experts was very beneficial just by watching it. After a while, all the women had a little thought, and their divine sense was not focused on the whole battlefield, but a specific area, and even a few specific experts. They were all absorbing experience from the battle of these experts and consolidating themselves. The same was true for Yang Chen, but he paid more attention to the experts, and his mind was divided into several parts, but he could also pay attention to it. This kind of complete practical teaching was in front of him. Even Yang Chen did not encounter it a few times in his previous life. Wouldn't it be a pity to miss it? Not only Yang Chen and his wife, but even the Great Elder had a serious face, each staring at a few worthy targets and concentrating on understanding. Their task was to help Yang Chen rescue his apprentice, and at the same time to protect the safety of Yang Chen, so they did not need to join the battle circle. On the battlefield, sometimes something unexpected would happen. There were too many experts, accidental injuries were inevitable, and there were even cases of people killing each other. Needless to say, it was the eyes of both sides who were exposed to work for the sect. Generally, people would not pay much attention to this, but Yang Chen paid attention to more people and found that the proportion of this situation was slowly increasing. When Yang Chun found the 10th such situation, a trace of doubt suddenly floated in his heart. He turned his attention back to where the sect masters of the various sect were, and carefully investigated. After confirming his suspicion, his heart could not help but let out a thump. Of the 2 sect masters who were not present, one was the sect master of the Holocaust sect, and the other was the cave master of the Monster Clan's vast orgy cave. Yang Chun did not have much contact with the Monster Clan sect, so he was not very familiar with it, but the Holocaust sect was obviously the sect that everyone suspected was problematic. The sect master died mysteriously, and new sect master had just been replaced not long ago, but he did not even participate in such an occasion. Senior, are all the sect members here? With a thought, Yang Chun asked the great elder beside him.